I got a gallon of plastiline, fuel made from plastic waste.
Get the fuck out my thighs. Look good, but she don't got no ties.
Parker Edmondson, Dr. Parkenstein. Rumor has it, I heard it from the mountains, that you have a vintage vehicle. And I make a gasoline alternative from plastic waste, plastiline. And I would like to put this inside of your vehicle, your beautiful vintage vehicle, and see if indeed plastic is able to make a viable fuel for engines, old and new. This Sunday at 4 p.m. CST, live in Texas, you will see us put this in his car, and we will see what it would do. Join. Be there. Thank you guys so much for the love on the latest video. 300,000 views is crazy. I'm so excited. I'm so pumped. But we got merch for this upcoming collaboration. Get your hands on some merch. Nature Jab and Dr. Parkenstein. Get it. Go to naturejab.com/merch. Also, I gotta thank all the Patreon members. Thank you guys so much. We got a few new Patreon members, a part of the tribe here. We have a whole bunch of new Pyrolysis tribe members on YouTube. You can become a member on YouTube as well to support this project. Once again, big love to all you guys. Thank you so much. For the record, just so you can see, look, I'm opening the valve. There's no gas in here. No gas inside of it already. I mean, it feels like a decent amount in there. And there's a good fuel tank right here, so this will not give me issues on the road. I gotta take a moment to thank you guys so much for all your donations, super chats, GoFundMe, Cash App, everything. Thanks to you guys and your donations, I've been able to get a much stronger vacuum loading system for the reactor. So this is the setup here: shop vac, vortex catcher, with a little screen to stop plastic from going all the way back, and then suction down here. And here are the stats on the vacuum itself. Once again, thank you guys so much. This is a huge upgrade to the process. And speaking of super chats and donations, I gotta thank you guys again for all your super chats, donations, etc. Because as I said last episode, I got a $3,000 plastic shredder, a double shaft plastic shredder at that. And you don't have to ask Diddy to know that 2 shafts are always better than 1.
Oh my.
And so this thing is amazing. I ended up loading it in my van, transporting it around like a G. I didn't think that was even going to be possible or work, but it did. I literally loaded it in the car by myself, unloaded it by myself, and even moved this old plastic shredder out by myself. And man, this stuff is such a pain, especially this old plastic shredder. It has wheels, but they barely even worked well even on concrete, let alone some gravel. So it was just a matter of tussling my tits between the clips of gravel here, and well, I had to make it work. And a lot of people are like, get a dolly. I think just having multiple men is the best way to do this, because you know, I used a dolly before and it snapped the ratchet straps, so I made it work. Why? Well, because I had music. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the only little snippet you're gonna get, so I don't get copyright claimed, right? I already played enough music throughout this video, but you can see the full dance collages on any of my social medias or even YouTube shorts while you're here. But I had a lot of fun just dancing around the thing like a little monkey, like the monkey I am, and getting this thing transported about. So when it came to getting it out the box, it was actually quite a peculiar task, and you're gonna see why. Well, first of all, I want you to pay attention to something, right? Well, let's take a look at the shredder in the inside at first. It was packaged well, looked amazing. So much styrofoam, man. This styrofoam drove me crazy, like. But look, it says unpacking mode. Just pull it up. I unscrewed all the screws around the base, and there literally was no screw or nothing holding the wood to the base. But no matter how many times I tried to just slide it up or hit it up, it wouldn't work. So I tried to crowbar everything. I took my circular saw, cut straight down like we're Star Wars in this piece. I am your father, Diddy, Sean Combs, I'm your father. Or maybe that's not something to be so proud of, right? Well, anyways, that did the trick. And, well, look at this beauty. This is the ultimate ASMR maker. This is the ASMR-inator 3000. And like I told you, I got all that styrofoam from it that I'm, of course, shredding, and it's such a pain. I mean, like, look, it's shredding it amazing, and also trying not to take my fingers off, right? But look at all the freaking little styrofoam mini balls that go everywhere. I got that new vacuum from you guys, so it's gonna be great to get all this up. And I do end up getting it up, but Lord, it's just like, man, it almost feels like this stuff should be illegal. Like, we know what microplastics do, and yet we create these things. They get the tiniest little microplastic things just flinging everywhere, even when you snap it with your hand. It's almost like a war crime, right? Knowing that these things get in our fetuses, and most importantly in our testicles as us men, right? Our testicles ain't even safe. The most guarded treasure isn't even safe from microplastics. But anyways, like I said, this is the ASMR-inator. I'm gonna have lots of fun with this, guys. But obviously, take a look at how messy this is. Look, okay, so these are like really big shreds, really big. Those are not small. Put them in again, and then look, small chips that come out. Look, all right, we got a nut jar. You guys ready for some nuts? Let's see. Holy shit. Nuts. Put nuts everywhere, man. I just got nut all over me. Pause. Just got nut all over me. All right, let's try that again. All right, we'll do the lid first. You said put somebody's hand. Man, this thing will eat your hand so quick. I've never been able to bog this down so far. Look. God damn. Shoots. This is actually a projectile. It's making projectiles. Holy shit. Hey, I'm trying to stay safe. Look. Oh, shoot. Look. So it has a reverse. It got a reverse on it. You see, it finally bogged down a little bit. Finally. And I got the reverse in this mode. Like, look at this. This thing has a reverse. And now, it eats it up like nothing. So, guys, indeed, we can confirm this machine is indeed straight because it could not handle nuts in its mouth. Imagine me putting my balls in this thing's mouth. It couldn't handle it, right? It couldn't handle those basic cashews. But hey, it was worth testing, all right? What a lovely day it is. I was spinning the blades, hoping to be, moving the shredded plastic forward inside the machine. I thought the last run I did was, a completed run, but it wasn't. I opened up the machine. The first thing I saw was this, letting me know, well, the run was not complete. To look at the carbon. Look back here at the blades, and I did not think this would even be possible with the rebar. I didn't think the rebar blades could bend and contort like that from the pressures of solidified plastic. Are you kidding me? And right now I'm kind of in a crunch where, well, I need to make as much oil as possible. And I don't really have time to repair these blades, so I'm kind of about to just say, fuck it, let's just freaking run it with the blades messed up. Yeah, so you saw it there. I just got straight up unlucky. And this is not the end of my misfortune in this crazy goal I have before the end of the year to make this much fuel. I know 5 gallons doesn't sound like a lot, but you gotta remember, most refineries are the scale of like 10-story buildings, and my distiller is the size of a freaking crock pot with Jimmy Neutron pipes coming out of it, right? Stuffing the plastic in by hand is kind of satisfying and actually pretty easy, and then, the shredded plastic. Oh man, I just love it, especially compared to when I was loading in just full bits of plastic, man. Oh, here's the thing, right? Of course, you know what they say, life has... Well, I happen to lie too, okay? And so when something happens, it's just unfortunate for anybody that didn't succeed, because, well, I'm gonna make it anyway, right? In the face of adversity, I've become innovative. So, not that it's all that innovative to just load plastic in through the front by hand, but basically what happened was the blades got contorted because I was trying to spin them while there was still some solidified plastic residual chunks left in the machine, whatever. I thought it wouldn't happen because the blades are rebar and they're super like thick, but clearly the blades need a professional upgrade, so that'll be coming next year. Make haste, we get on with the run regardless. Your boy doesn't give not two beavers dams about some blades. And guys, you know what? The blades damaging or getting that contorted was crazy to me because this is rebar. I know rebar is pretty soft. It's not like hardened steel, but you know, the only thing that's stopping the blades like catching on them to make them over torque is literally hardened plastic formed all around them. So it's like hardened plastic outperformed rebar. So I did this run for 5 hours because, of course, doing shredded plastic, we can fit in way more plastic than when it's not shredded. So the normal run back then was 4 hours, but the normal run now is about 5 to 5.5 hours. Doing a full load of shredded plastic. Of course, this is with the blades not really operating properly, so kind of like using a blender with only 2 of the 4 blades on it. You can't really say it's a realistic run. But you see there, I pressed the button to spin the blades, so I am still spinning the blades in there, because about half the blades are damaged and just form that wall of cock block triquetra gangbang scissoring. But then the other half in front of that are not an issue, and they're like normal blades, so all the plastic ahead of that bundle of nonsense will actually move and be agitated properly. And anyway, you can see the oil coming down through the sight glass. Looks good. Typical operations of the machine. And guys, I also learned, and I've been experimenting, but I really don't even need to have my recirculating water chiller on for most of the time. So I have the natural gas vapors being plumbed into these. I think it's literally like 5-6 tanks here, and you see we're at 220 psi. All right. So we are about to get this thing started. Let me just get my my mask on, my respirator. So watch the line and watch the tank, and you'll see the oil. Let me see if I can put my headlamps mounted somewhere so there's more light. It's siphoning. It's flowing on its own right now. It's siphoning. So I got a gear oil pump. You know, last episode my fuel extraction pump broke, and my gear oil pump worked for a half of one run and then it broke too. But I also got this manual pump, and this works great. And I love it because even doing it by hand, it starts to siphon and sucks out the oil by itself. And I also can hook up compressed air to help even further. But spoiler alert, in the live stream, I don't have the video footage of it, but the air pumps just stopped. Like, it's still forming a vacuum and sucking, but for some reason it's not sucking the oil out the machine or the keg anymore. So like the last gallon of plastic crude oil I made is literally stuck in the keg. And like I said, guys, my misfortune doesn't stop here. Take a look at this problem I have now. We'll look at the natural gas flare flame coming off of this burner, and take a look at how the burner is getting more red and more hot than the actual distiller. So the natural gas flare flame is really burning inside of the burner. Now this is not an issue of it has too much air in the actual tanks, because otherwise it would travel back to the tanks and blow up. It's that the air-fuel mixture, or the stoichiometric ratio of this vapor, is just so weird that it literally is sucking in just enough air to literally cause a flame to be inside the burner. And that wastes so much of it, because of course most of the heat is going to heating up the freaking burner and not the distiller. So that wasted pretty much a whole distillation run. So now I have like 2 gallons of my plastic crude oil sat there in the distiller, loaded full of plastiline that is just stuck in that plastic crude oil form. And like I said, my misfortune does not end here. You will see I'll have even more issues on my quest to make 5 gallons. So anyways, this is the last run I did out there. You know, I was out there for 3 days, and I did a total of 5 runs of the machine. Absolute hobo, Rambo, crazy stuff going on. Intense workload, trying to meet my goals. And it's funny, because I made probably close to 5 gallons. I made at least 3, but the issue has always been, it got, the oils are stuck in ways that are unrecoverable. Look, another freaking gallon going in the distiller. So you see, guys, I've already poured in 3 gallons. Now, on average, you're gonna get between a
mess with
quarter.
those settings.
So if I pour in a gallon of the plastic crude oil, I'm gonna get either a quarter gallon of plastiline from that or a half a gallon. It depends on the type of plastic. But in short, I should be at least a minimum 2.5 gallons between all of this I poured in. But once again, I just kept having issues. So I then got the plastic made natural gas product, the unnatural gas as I call it, from this run, and I will go ahead, light the burner, and you see, watch. Lights bloody perfect. Like, why did it not light right the first time, or when that on that specific run's batch of the unnatural gas? But this run is, I'm a very hard worker. I'm very perseverant. Even when things go wrong, I keep trying to make them right. This is crude LDPE early. The professor, and he works at the University of California. So you know it's the holidays. So don't expect these results until probably I'd say the mid or late January. But that's okay because by then I'll have my next samples going out. We'll be doing mixed plastic next, which is what I want to see the most because I don't really care about individual plastics because I want this machine to be able to handle everything. Now, once again, for the diesel fraction, we had to make it an ultra short path distiller because it just does not want to come over. The diesel fraction started to solidify again, and notice how it's like that red color, the cherry red in the flask, but I go to cycle it up with the pipette and it becomes like a cloudy brown color. It is what it is, but here are the three samples. We got the crude oil on the left, the plastiline in the middle, the plastidiezel on the far right, where we're sending all these to Professor Benjamin Katz. Like I said, check out Mass Spec Everything on YouTube to see the last analysis, and I'll let you guys know when this is done. Thank you so much for watching, and Nature Jab out. Make sure you get some merch. Make sure you're there this Sunday, 4 p.m. CST, when we run these vehicles off of the plastiline. Thank you guys so much for all your support and love. The last video went absolutely crazy. It's at like 300,000 views. I'm so happy.
Let it ride out to the black screen.
So thank you guys. And Merry Christmas.
I like this kid.
Welcome to the Holy Grail Investing Podcast.
Our guest today is the founder and CEO of Vista Partners, $100 billion company that is mastered enterprise SAS.
The ROI today is 625%. Gen AI takes that to an order of magnitude.
Wow.
You know more about this industry than anybody alive, but what does a person do so that they can become more valuable?
That is all going to get disrupted.
I'm going to help the audience out here a little bit. They're like, that's what I want to invest in, but I don't know how to do any of that.
Well, what do you tell your kids to study?
3 skills that they have to learn. Pattern recognition. Once you recognize patterns, there's no fear because you know it's not random. Then they got to learn.
Now, hang on. You got to save the punchline. You go from this control paradigm to this control paradigm.
You succeeded at a level most humans will never dream of. When you began, you saw something no one else saw.
Here's where it all started.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Holy Grail of Investing podcast with Tony Robbins and Christopher Zook. We're thrilled that you've tuned in because over the next couple of sessions, we're going to talk about some of the most interesting things in all of the world of investing, from GP stakes to professional sports to energy to disruptive technology. And what our job is to add as much value to you as we can and to give you some things that will really be valuable to you as you go about your businesses and your investing. I'm Christopher Zook. I'm the founder and chief investment officer of Kaz Investments, and I'm thrilled to be able to co-host today with the one and only Tony Robbins. Tony, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Christopher. Listen, I'm very excited for you to join us as well because our guest today is a very special individual. This is a person who's an unbelievable investor, incredible entrepreneur. This is a person that you would think of if you said, who is the best in private equity? He's got to be in the top 3 or 4 or 5. He's a philanthropist. He's an engineer. And most importantly, Robert Smith, of course, is the founder and CEO of Vista. I think you're going to find enormous amount of value out of this session. And this is a man who, give you an idea, has built $100 billion AUM company. He's done it by literally developing over 600 private equity, transactions, over $300 billion. He's got 80 companies with over 90,000 employees now across 180 countries. Forbes called him one of the 100 great business mind in history. He's been on the Times 100 list. What I'm really touched by as a founder is that you've also been found for 4 years in a row as, the founder-friendly investor for Inc. magazine for 4 years in a row. But it's such a pleasure to be with you, and a pleasure and a privilege that we have the chance to invest directly in your company with you. So thank you for being with us, Robert. Good to see you again.
So it's great to be here. Good to see you. And Christopher, good to see you as always. I'm excited to be here and advance what is, I think, an important topic for all investors to understand different aspects of the alternative space and investors who are doing unique things that actually make a difference and bring alpha to their portfolio. So thank you all for doing this.
Well, we're thrilled.
Absolutely.
So let's start out. You have quite an amazing background. I come from early roots, challenging roots. You understand that your family was not super well-to-do either, kind of humble roots for you, and yet you've risen to a level that most people would never dream of in a lifetime and added so much value to so many people's lives. Tell us a little bit, if you would, just about your origin story, how this all started, if you don't mind.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that. I mean, we all, I think, in many cases, come back to what our household was like when we grew up. I was fortunate in that I grew up in a household of two school teachers, elementary school teachers, both of which were really inclined to think about how they could change the condition of their community at large. And they knew education was a fundamental part of that work. My mother grew up in Washington, D.C. She has a very interesting background. We can talk about that a bit later in terms of her great-great-grandfather and the work that he did and the towns that he built way back during Reconstruction. And my father, who was third generation from Colorado, I'm fourth generation, and his family being moved out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they converging. My mother found that she was interested in teaching, wanted to get a master's degree. Went to Colorado and got her master's degree, met my father, and then produced my brother and I. But I think what was important was they created a bedrock in our community of educators and focused on building, call it the skill set and the capabilities of the children in our neighborhood. This was a time, of course, during segregation. And so we had to rely a lot on the infrastructure of our own community. If you wanted to learn carpentry, you went down the street to learn it from Mr. Robinson. If you wanted to learn piano, you went and got piano lessons from Mrs. Buckner. So it was a very rich community where people looked out for each other, fundamentally education and community. And those are the things that kind of, create the bedrock of who you are. And from that, a curious mind hopefully leads to, interesting ventures. And I had the great opportunity I went to a public high school, same high school my father went to, and I had a teacher there they brought computers in for the first time. So, introducing this new technology.
What year would that have been?
So that was 1980.
Wow, okay, great.
And, I'm taking this computer class. I said, wow, this is really interesting. I asked the teacher, I said, well, hey, how does this thing actually work? And he said, well, it's run by this thing called a transistor. And I said, well, who invented that? And he said, well, these people at this place called Bell Laboratories. And I said, I wonder if there's a Bell Laboratories in Colorado. So I went downstairs to the career center and talked to the career person and said, we looked in the, in the book, said, yeah, there's one in Broomfield. So I called them. I literally called them and I said, hey, I'm interested in the summer internship. Do you have any summer internships? And I said, yeah, if you're between your junior and senior year in college. I said, well, that's great. I'm a junior in high school. I'm getting A's in my AP classes. It's the same thing. So where do I sign up?
Junior high school, junior college, same thing.
I take AP class, same thing. She's like, well, listen, you need to come back when you're junior in college. So this was in about January. So I literally called her every day for 2 weeks. And she stopped taking the call. Back then, there were no answering machines, that sort of a thing. And I'd have to leave a message. So then I called her every Monday. Okay, I had to calculate this because I called her every Monday for 5 months.
Oh, my God.
And she called me back in June. And she said, listen, she called, my house. And, my dad just happened to be home because they were out of school. She was in elementary school. I was still in high school. He's like, some woman called from Bell Laboratories. So I called her back. She said, hey, listen, a student from MIT didn't show up. We haven't met you. We're not offering you a job, but you can come and interview. So, I had a 69 Plymouth Satellite. I put $2 worth of gas in. I had one suit, my Sunday suit, and drove out there and got the job. But what was most fascinating about
How old
that.
were you then?
17 years old.
17
So I'm
years
working
old.
at Bell Labs. I'm 17, and the world just opens up to me at that point.
Wow.
My mentor, this is the importance of mentors. My mentor is a guy by the name of Vic Hauser, distinguished member of technical staff, like 35 patents under his name, PhD in solid state physics, undergraduate chemical engineering, brilliant guy. And I shared an office with him.
Wow.
Okay, so this wasn't, sitting in a cube. So I shared an office with him, and I walk in the first day. He kind of looks me up and down, and he's like, "Well, look, we've got this. It's called an operational amplifier. It's failing in our Merlin systems out in the field. Your summer job is to now figure out why." And he says, "You got the full resources of Bell Laboratories at your disposal. I'm here to answer any question. Let me know when you want to talk." And he turns his chair around. So now I'm like shocked. I'm like, this is the rudest guy I've ever known, right? But I finally understood what he was doing. So I marched myself down to the library, and I talked to the librarian. I said, "This thing called an operational amplifier. Do you have any information on it?" So he pulls out some books, and I start going through them, and I write down a bunch of questions, and I go back, sheepishly into the mentor, into Vic. I said, "Hey, Vic," I said, "I've got a couple questions." He turns around and says, "What are they?" And I ask a question. He gets on the whiteboard for 2 hours as I ask questions. And he says, "You got any more questions?" I said, "Nope, I'll be back tomorrow." And so it created a whole process for me. And it's something that I said, I tell my kids I'm going to leave them 3 things. The second thing is I hope they discovered the joy of figuring things out.
Yes.
Because what he did for me was help me understand how to figure out problems. Not give me the answer,
Yes.
but how to take big complex problems and break them into small increments. And it was from that I learned the joy of engineering and problem solving and creating what I call elegant solutions to complex problems. So into the summer, I'm 17 years old. I win the best prize, the best project for the summer with all these college kids.
Wow.
And it's because I had the right mentor with the right attitude and, with a curious mind. So all those are what I call the origin story.
Right.
And I think I approach my life that way today. I'm always interested in learning new things and bringing, call it new solutions to complex problems.
Well, you're also relentless.
Yeah, there's that too. There's that too.
So often it's overused, but people just don't realize how important persistence is. When we interviewed 13 of the biggest players on Earth in private equity, you being obviously one of them, we got a chance to visit with before. That theme comes up over and over again in my own life, and I know your life as well, Christopher. The willingness to never give up and just keep going no matter what the obstacle. I don't think there's a replacement for that, but I'm curious, when you look at your success in business and in life, besides your ability to solve problems, what do you think has caused you to raise to such a high level? Is it that persistence, that relentlessness? Is it that the fact that you have both the financial and the technical? You're an engineer and you had a brilliant financial mind and training. Is it focusing on the sector you did? Because no one was into SAS in the beginning, right? Or SAS. They didn't think it was worthwhile, I think, when you started in 2000.
Right.
What do you think has been the most important elements that have helped you to succeed? I know you're very humble, but pretty obvious you've succeeded at a level most humans will never dream of.
I think it's a lot of what you said, and that relentless curiosity.
The curiosity part,
and I bet if you talk to, I know you do, talk to thousands of people a year, you will find those who are successful in their field remain curious.
I agree.
They are those who know they don't always have the answer, and they ask the next set of questions. And from that, they get informed, and it brings insights. And then they can bring their own intention and their energy against that to solve whatever problem they may be focused on. Or say, this is another problem that I can solve, and it'd be interesting to solve it. So I think it's that curious nature which is essential.
But that
for
curious
us.
nature is so unusual because most people, they give it up. They get to that first wall, if you will, and they just stop. So how do you coach people to get through that wall and to just continue to persist even when it gets frustrating?
Or do you work to find people that just already have that in their nature?
I think so. So it's a great question. Being a father,
Yes.
you want all your kids to have that.
Yes.
Not all of them do.
Yes.
And you have to think about, well, what is it that I can do? And to me, there are things like sports.
Yes.
Okay. Sports, in some respects, when you have a child who's doing something, or my kids are, play chess, right?
Yeah.
And you see them hit a wall. And so you can tell them the answer, or you can help them discover how they go about solving that problem. And that gives them a little more confidence.
Yes.
And each time they get a little more confidence, they get a little more confident.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's a big part of it. And we as parents, as
Yes.
part of our job is to prepare that child for that journey, not prepare that, the path for them.
Yes.
And it's a hard thing to do. But when you find students, employees who have that, and you can recognize it. You ask the right questions. You figure out, a lot of it is, tell me about your origin story. Tell me how you grew up. And you listen to how they describe what it is that got them to that place. Yeah. That's when you start identifying, okay, here's somebody with that spark who's not going to take no for an answer.
We call it a lot in our firm. We call it grit. Right. It's that grit. It's really hard to identify. Yeah. But when you find somebody with grit, they usually will persist and they usually will figure it out.
Yeah, I agree. And so part of it is, what are the things, and where do you need that grit in certain circumstances? Look, when all boats are rising in a marketplace, everybody's making money.
And everybody thinks they're a genius.
They're brilliant, right? Okay. Grit is when you see downturns, okay? And when you see changes in market conditions, and when you see the introduction of new technologies into the theater in which you have been operating. And do you ignore it? Do you embrace it? Do you make it a part now of your DNA, and how do you do that? And so when you talk about, okay, what has made you successful, it's we have built, and I will say we have built an institution that evolves. Technology, enterprise software, it evolves. The early days of this, all on premise. Yes. Okay. And then we saw the recognition of SaaS or hosted. Yeah. And I said, okay, there's a couple things you can do. You can ignore what is going to be the reality, or you can build an infrastructure. So what we did, we built a factory. We built a conversion factory to convert from on-premise to cloud. And as far as I know today, we have converted more businesses from on-premise to cloud than any institution on the planet. Wow. Well, now we have a new technology, don't we? Yeah. This new general purpose technology we're calling, artificial intelligence or generative artificial intelligence. So guess what we're doing now? We are building a factory, awesome. To go from SaaS, we're hosted, to agentic. Wow. And so we have 89 of our companies pivoting in that direction, all of them. Okay, certain will become agentic, some will what I call Gen AI enabled, but that has been the last 2 years of pivot, understanding that this new technology changes everything again. Yes, but you've got to have an institution that can evolve.
But I'm going to help the audience out here a little bit, because most people have no idea what agentic means. Okay. So walk us through that and explain that.
Sure, that's good.
And how important is the adoption of AI for small businesses as well as big, large-sized businesses, right?
Yeah, it's critical. So the way to think about, artificial intelligence, there's kind of what we'll call traditional AI. So for instance, when, a few years ago, we would go and say, oh, I want to take a trip and I want to go to Paris and I want to go on a restaurant tour and go to museums. And you could go online and what you would have is an artificial intelligence agent would actually identify places where you could go. Great. Okay.
Now it'll do it for you.
Now, not only will it do it for you, it will book it and it will make changes and adjust for you. So that's kind of the modern AI. That's agentic. These agents now can do something. They do stuff.
Actually, they replace employees. And I was talking to Mark Minioff about this. He called me in the middle of the night about a year ago and said, this is it. This is the piece. I can't believe what this will do. I can take companies and they can have 500 new employees and doing things really effectively with this technology.
Right.
So how are you using that in your companies right now?
So if you think about it, again, this is an interesting mass. So this is what we're working against. We have 750 million users of our software globally.
Wow.
Okay, so if you think about 89 software companies operating in 180 countries, we're in 70 different industries, 750 million users of our software. Initially, each of those users will have 2 to 5 agents. Ultimately, they'll have 10 to 12 agents per user. So think about it. We're going from having 750 million users of our software to 8 to 10 billion agents.
Wow.
Okay. Now, these agents work 24/7, 365. If you tune them properly,
they stay fully engaged.
Fully engaged all the time. They don't have to, go and, pick up kids from school and all that sort of stuff. But which creates a whole other set of issues that we're all going to have to think about.
I know that.
But, as a fiduciary, my job is to bring maximum efficacy to the assets that we control and that we own. And so what our factory is doing is building all the infrastructure and the components to convert users, in essence, to agentic solutions. So. Yeah. Each agent will have specific tasks associated with it. And even within that construct, you have to have an agent that each agent has to be protected. You have to have cybersecurity around it. Yes. It has to operate in in the enterprise. Yes. Consumers very different. Okay, because the 3 of us after this, we could say, hey, let's go to a Thai place, right? Yeah. And we could go online and send an agent, and find 10 of them.
Yeah.
9 of them will be open. One has been closed for 3 years, right?
Yeah.
And right, and that just kind of is with booked appointment, all that. In the enterprise, no, you need 100%
Accuracy.
certainty,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because we have to go and say, I'm sure you wouldn't want your check get wire transferred to someone else at 99.5% efficiency. You want 100%.
Yeah.
So there's aspects that enterprise software brings to an agentic world that agentic can't do on its own.
Right.
Remember, the enterprise software are the trusted providers of the infrastructure, the workflows, and the data today.
Yes.
So, Benioff, and we talk about this, we laugh about this a little bit. People say, "Oh, is AI going to eat software?" No, AI is going to feed software, enterprise software.
That's
Okay.
what Mark said. Mark,
Yeah.
From Salesforce, this will transform Salesforce, as powerful as the company is, to a different level in terms of
Absolutely.
servicing their customers.
Absolutely.
So let's do this. Explain how it's going to feed software.
Sure.
How is that going to feed and actually help build software? Because I think
there's
people get really confused about the two.
Sure. There are aspects of it. So let's talk about just one aspect. One of the most important parts of running an enterprise software company is writing code.
Yes.
Okay, we already have deployed, code generation across 100% of our companies. So the efficacy.
How much faster is it, by the way? And how much more effective is it?
40% more effective today, but that's today. Next week is probably going to be 80%. That's just one aspect where AI feeds software. That's just on a cost side. Okay, on a revenue side, you think of we have some solutions today where we have an orchestration agent with 9 separate agents that do the work of a customer service person or a salesperson with 24/7, 365 efficacy. So if you have a customer service person who's trying to understand some changes in their customer base, i.e., somebody changed jobs and it was posted on LinkedIn that job got changed. Well, your customer service agent may have 300-400 clients that he's covering, has no idea. Our agents know immediately. Okay, and create an activity. So another set of agents now start kicking in and doing work in and around what it takes to support not only that client, but the impact and implications of whoever is moving into that role and what the impact is on the companies that it serves. Okay, this works today. So that's part of, and that's why we partner with Microsoft. We want the foundry aspects. You've got to create environments. You've got to create cybersecurity. You've got to create telemetry. You've got to create all the aspects associated with ensuring that these agents do exactly what you want and not anything you don't want it to do. Okay, so that's an important part of this whole transformation. So that's what we've been doing the last couple of years, Alice, is building this factory. And so I'm really excited about it. If you can't tell.
I can feel your energy.
If you can't tell.
First of all, you look like $1 million. You've taken care of your body at a different level, too. What have you done with your body? I mean, you've really transformed.
A lot of it, like all things. I've got actually a wonderful service that actually has an AI engine. I've been using it for now 8 years.
Wow.
Okay, and the supplements, and I mean, it's an amazing service. And these people are great. They cost a fortune.
But did you also, as great as your business is, it seems like when you began, you saw something no one else saw.
Yeah.
I mean, what did you see back then? Was it recurring revenue? And you saw the direct, what was it you saw? But also, I see you, like the level of animation, you're always excited, but it feels like a whole nother level, and I can see why.
Is. Yeah.
Tell me about what you saw in the beginning, and then relate that to what other people need to be looking for in their own businesses as well.
Sure. Here's where it all started for me. I started, I was a chemical engineer, Cornell University. I finished there, and then I started working in a process plant, right?
Okay.
And one of my first jobs is to actually automate one of the processes in the plant. So my generation of chemi, sure, we were, of course, developing different unit operations, but we were bringing in process controls for the first time. Okay. So compute was still very expensive. It could only be, fairly afforded by the largest corporations, U.S. government, and universities. Well, I worked for a very large corporation, and we had a plant that was built in the 40s. I want you to think about this. Built in the 40s, that made components for tire making and plastic pipes.
Okay.
Said, all right, implement this Honeywell TDC 3000 PLC. Okay, programmable logic controller. So implementing control systems. So the way to think about it, before then, processes were controlled by operators. You had somebody sitting there watching the reactions occur, looking at pressure and temperature and rates and flows, and it would go through some dynamic, and then they would observe it episodically, when you weren't talking about who got drafted that week in football, okay? And then you would episodically intervene and say, oh, I need to change this. I need to add more of this, take more of this away. And the reaction would move in this sort of a form.
Yeah.
Okay, introduce compute. Now you go from episodic observation, 60, now you're observing 60 times a second. Now I can observe 60 times a second whether or not you're talking about football at all.
And the flag shows up to let you know.
You got it.
Yeah.
Oh, not just let you know, you can now intervene.
Right.
So the second part of that was now make an intervention, do the calculus, do the math, and what is the proper intervention? So you go from this sort of a control paradigm to this type of a control paradigm. Everything under the curve is waste. And so in that first experience that I had, increased the productivity of that plant by 26%.
Wow.
A plant built in the 40s.
Wow.
Increase the productivity by 26%. So you say, what should people look for? They should look for implementing solutions that create productivity output.
Yeah.
So that's point one. Now, if you look at today, and I'm going to fast forward to today,
Okay.
we measure the ROI of the products that our companies sell to our customers every day. We're in freight, we're in shipping, we're in automotive, we're in healthcare, we're 70 different industries.
Yeah.
The average ROI today that we measure is 625%. That's the products that our companies sell to our customers. 625% ROI. I don't know if any other business
That's
or product
insane.
gives you that
fantastic.
high. Gen AI takes that to an order of magnitude.
Oh my God. No wonder,
Okay.
no wonder you're having a hard time sitting in your chair.
That's the impact, okay? But the key is get there fast first. Get there fast first.
Yes.
That's what we're doing.
Well, I mean, what you said is everything under the curve is waste. I mean,
Right.
that's a fantastic, analogy for basically how do we streamline things and to eliminate all that waste. And with Gen AI, what I hear you saying is that it just allows that pulse to be faster to where it's that much more responsive and it can make those adjustments that much quicker and also be much more effective.
Exactly.
And so, everybody gets that, generally speaking.
Right.
But how do you stay ahead of it? How do you make sure that others don't just take the place of what you're trying to accomplish?
So that's an important part of the enterprise software. Okay, if you did enterprise software right in the past, you have sovereignty and dominion over workflows and data sets. You don't have to own them, but you have to have sovereignty on them, okay, where you're protecting a unique set of workflows that happen in an industry or in a company. And you have dominion over the data because that data will inform you as to what activities should be done and what are the outputs. And then, of course, the outputs from that data to now circle back in a feedback or feed forward loop, depending upon what you're doing, okay, for the next activity or the next task or the next agentic action. Okay, you see the system. Right? So part of what you have to do in an enterprise world is understand the workflows and the sovereignty and the dominion and what creates the outcomes that you want and have those agents identify those aspects and act according to what the outputs are. Because every business is different. Every customer is different. And how do you ensure that you are delivering to that customer, and you have to tune these models and these agents, what it is that they're either expecting, or when you really do it well, you give them more than they're expecting. And they're saying, wow, that actually is delighting me. So if someone is asking for a certain amount of information, like our investors, I want this information about the performance of your fund. Here it is. By the way, people like you have asked these 4 other questions. So let me give you that as well. Then they're like, oh, wow, that is a good set of questions to ask. That is a good narrative for me to evaluate. And so now they get more delighted because it makes their work easier. And what is the most efficient thing we're bringing to them? Their time back, okay? And then from there, insights. I mean, this is I've got my own agent, right?
Yes.
And we update it regularly, frequently. So we just had our annual general meeting. And so this is my agent's perspective of our annual general meeting. So now I am going through this, okay, line by line. Okay, what is their perspective? My agent's perspective. It's me, right? If you think about it, because it's informed by me,
Yes.
right?
How did you load that data in of your insights, your history, your distinctions, just out of curiosity?
So first you have to create your data set, your data
Sure.
constructs. There's
Sure.
companies do that. And then we went through literally 25 years of the presentations I've done.
That's what I figured. Yeah, all your
all
reports.
of it, and
all
you
your
load it all in there.
Yeah.
This conversation
Yes.
will then go into it next.
Yes.
Okay. And then when I'm about to have another conversation like this or talk to an investor, I can literally go in and type in, okay, here's the questions you're going to ask. And it basically says, Robert, here's how you answer that. Here's how you should answer that. And you look at that and you say, okay, is this
And
actually
now I know something more. I want to do it differently.
right?
Yes,
Or
yes.
bring this out. Okay.
Yes.
And then you can say, well, this, and then you can start to load in what was effective.
Yes.
Okay, like
Yes.
certain ours would tell me, okay, these words that you use are effective. These words you use are a little too engineering and they aren't effective, right? I'm like, oh, okay, so I get that. But those are the things that are important for me to continue to load as this evolves as my AI agent.
Well, I mean, when I think about our audience right now, A, they're amazed. B, they're like, that's what I want to invest in because it's clearly going to change the world. But C, I don't know how to do any of that. So where do they start? How do they even begin to, we talk to so many small business owners and they're like, I know I need to do this, but I don't have the ability to, go hire a consultant for a lot of money every single year. Where do they start?
So this is where the enterprise is important. Again, okay, because the enterprise software vendor that they're currently using for any aspect of their business,
right? Sure,
should be, if they're thinking about it, creating, which is why we're doing this, creating agents that actually deliver that to them. I've got agents for our business and Mind, Body, and ClassPass working at gyms. Okay, how do you make that more effective? How do you make it effective so that, we're going to go work out. We're going to New York. We're going to go work out tomorrow. You and I do, some spin class, whatever it is. But now we want to go do Pilates. So we sign up and we go. Yeah. Well, we're late because, you want to get a last cup of coffee and we're late. And so the instructor gives our seats away to his friends. Now we're upset. Okay, we want our money back or something. Our agents will say, hey, you guys are already dressed. Here's 4 other places you can go within walking distance and you'll get there on time and I already booked it for you. Do you want that? Or the agent say, well, do you want your money back? Okay, or guess what? You got a hard stop at 10:15. You could finish this at 10:10 and be back in time and all that sort of. Those are the things that we have built today. Okay, so that's, think about it. That's a gym. Okay, so small to medium businesses all have the capacity. Okay, if they have the right vendors to utilize those solutions.
Let me ask you about that. I know you're not recommending one. You have so many companies. But for some of these small to medium-sized businesses, what types of firms have enterprise software that you think would be a good match for those types of business? I know it's different for every industry. Yeah. But if you're talking about sub-$100 million businesses, or even 150 in that range up to 150. What are some of the companies that you represent or that you would recommend that they take a look at that are on top of agents at this point?
Yeah, I mean, things like our company's Gainsight, customer service management. It doesn't matter if you're doing wealth management or if you are, managing a telecommunications business. It's how do you manage customers and what do these agents actually do? And it's a matter of what, you're training them for the specific ones, which is why we partner with Microsoft, right? It's like, okay, listen, we can enable a whole set of vertical markets that they don't and make those available to their customers. So, again, we're not using our sales force. They're using theirs to basically say, we can support that. And so we can do that across multiple different channels because we're in so many different industries. Yes. So that's that's the point. So each of the industries, we have one, sales off drift, right? That was for sales. Yes. Okay. Customer support. You can think about, code development aspects or low code, no code environment. So all of those have different aspects that we're bringing agentic enterprise software solutions into those theaters and into
so
each
if
of those
they have the right
industries.
vendor, the vendor can guide them in that. And Gainsight would be one place they could look.
That's one place, for customer support, and that kind of covers everyone, right? Everyone needs some customer support. You may have 2 customer support people. Well, we can give you agents so it feels like 40. Right.
That's wild.
I mean, that's really one of the things that is amazing about this. At the same time that we hear about it, it's the typical thing that it feels like it's progressing, but it's progressing very, very quickly in some ways and slowly in others because the average company is like wanting to do this, but is not able to actually do it as effectively as the larger companies. Right. So by bringing it more to the mass, if you will, how are you going about doing that? I know you have the partnership with Microsoft. Is that the goal there? Because it's not for one company. It's for basically all of the companies.
It's for all companies. The key is to have all of our companies move through this factory and become agentic. Of course, you think about the concept of a factory. Remember, this is, you actually have to build an environment in which those agents operate.
Before agentic AI, you really did something different than everybody else. You built, as you say, your factory, this system. So, the older days of private equity, a lot of people still think of it as, buying things, tearing it apart. Right. One of the things I love about private equity today is you don't succeed that way for the most part. You got to add value. Right. And your whole thing is take companies that add massive value. Right. So you'd bring new technology, bring new leadership. Tell us a little bit about those elements before you even got to agentic AI, about how you take care of a company and grow a company as a whole so people understand how you've added so much value to them.
It goes back to, again, a fundamental factory approach. What are you doing? You're taking, some raw material. In this case, it's a company. That company may not necessarily know how to scale, may not know how to develop code efficiently, may not be able to use more efficient methods for writing code or customer support. And so because of the way our ecosystem works, we have a whole series of best practices that constantly evolve. Yes. And so we'll go into a company and say, oh, okay, so here's actually how you're doing code development. For instance, you're hiring all your engineers from one place in one environment, and you've kind of tapped out of what we call the great engineers out of that environment. Yeah. You actually need 2 or 3 other places. We call them centers of excellence. So we will stand those centers of excellence up for them.
That's great.
Okay, and then we'll do the transfer. We basically get transference of knowledge in some cases and wherewithal. And oh, by the way, here's how we're going to use different development systems so you can develop code faster, 24/7, 365. So you have the ability to actually eliminate what we call technical debt and actually push forward with new products faster.
Right.
So there's that aspect.
And then
of
you
it.
have places around retaining customers because in your business that's
Absolutely,
critical, right?
So there's this whole ARR dynamic and gross retention and net retention. Well, why are you losing customers? Well, they're not getting customer support properly. Well, why? You all know this. Well, it's one of those things. Salespeople sell sometimes what they have and sometimes what they don't have. Right? They basically sell what they get commissioned to sell. But often once it's sold, they toss it over and somebody else has to support it. And often the support department doesn't necessarily know what the premise on which this was sold.
Promises, yes.
Yeah, and then so as a CEO, you get the calls from the client. I thought I was going to get this. I'm getting this. Fix it.
Yeah.
Okay, now you got to get not only your support people on it, but sometimes your best developers to go solve this problem so they stop calling the CEO. Well, when that happens, you're now losing productivity from your best developers.
Right.
Okay, so there's all of these. We got over 100 of these little best practices from, contract administration to the way that we actually approach, code development to go-to-market to territory management to pricing. All those sorts of things make up these aspects. And so we deliver across our organization, a value creation team, which is really our factory underpinnings, these aspects of companies. There's certain things that a $500 million company needs that a $30 million company can't handle. So here's the things that the $30 million company needs, and we'll go through this process and drive them forward in the chain. Here's what's interesting. 97% of software companies are private. The vast majority are small and medium size.
Right.
Wow. Okay. So if you think about it, if you are the average investor, you don't have access to what is the most productive tool introduced in our business economy in the last 50 years, okay? And as that most productive tool it impacts with the most transformative technology of our generation, you've got to figure out a way to play it. You've got to figure out a way to get invested in it, which is why you go to private organizations now, RIAs, those sort of things. We've launched a whole product to do that because we want to provide access to democratization in some respects of access to what is this 5th generation industrial revolution, which is Gen AI enabling enterprise software.
There's a side also of what you do as a firm for investors, obviously, who invest in your company. Last time we talked to you about 4 times, you talked about investing in your company. You haven't said it once this time.
Yeah.
But I want to point it out because obviously we've been blessed to be investors in your company. But your fundamental formula in it, I understand it's going back to the factory. It's like, what does this factory do and how do we make every aspect more productive? And then we're going to multiply the value and we're going to sell it for a multiple. And we're going to continue to grow. So can you share, I don't know if it's appropriate if you can share with us, generally the kinds of numbers. I mean, I know the kinds of numbers. You've done over, what, 25 years?
I'll give you our latest 3 mature funds.
Okay, great.
Okay, because there's funds investing and all sorts. Say the 3. This was astounding because we just went through it. It wasn't astounding. It's by design. But anyway, all right. Let's give you a sense. Okay. Foundation Fund 3. Okay, last mature fund there. Okay, that one was a call it $2.5 or $3 billion fund. Of the $2.5 billion funds, okay, there's only 5% of them that have returned over 2 times TVPI and over 1 times DPI. Think about that.
Yes.
We're in the 98th percentile, okay?
So TVPI, total value, DPI means cash in your pocket, right? So
and I'm all about cash in the pocket.
All about cash in the pocket.
You can't spend IRR.
No, can't eat it.
Fund 5, okay, $6 billion fund. So again, only 259 funds over $5 billion since 2016, okay? This one's on the top 5%, okay? So there's only 5% of those who've actually got TVPI over 2 times, and it is a 97th percentile in TVPI, 94th percentile in DPI. Now, hang on. Of course, you got to save the punchline, okay? Fund 6, $11 billion fund, okay? There's only 130 $10 billion funds raised in the history of private equity. It is number 1 for TVPI and number 1 for DPI. And oh, by the way, it's the smallest. It's $11 billion. And of the top 5, in terms of returns, it has returned more capital than all the others.
That's unbelievable.
Okay.
Congratulations.
So, like I said, for me, it's all about, but that's a factory. That's an engine
Yes, I get
that
it.
is doing what we say it's going to do. What is it supposed to do? It's supposed to return money, not marks on pieces of paper, but return money in your pocket.
Well, that's one
what
of
we
the
focus
things
on.
that just has always impressed us about Vista is the fact that not only is it the factory mentality and it's the engineering mentality, no single points of failure, those kinds of things, but it's how you take those best practices and you put them in a way that's digestible for the companies once you make the acquisition to where you can overlay whatever they need. That's really unusual. Even in the world we live in today, where there's a lot of value add and a lot of trying to make companies better, y'all do such a great job of that. What was the initial reason to create that?
Yeah.
I know it comes from your engineering background, but for the audience benefit,
Sure.
why did you decide to build this playbook that is so famous?
So here's the thing. You all probably saw that movie, The Founder.
Yes,
Sure,
yes,
of course.
of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, and so you had these McDonald's brothers.
Yeah.
They built the most efficient fast food restaurant on the planet, but they didn't scale.
That's right.
It was Ray Kroc
That's right.
who actually said, how do I take what they have done and put it in a form of replication? So if you think about it, it's principles of self-replication. You cannot, as an engineer, you got to remember, I'm a chemical engineer. Our job is to do things in process, on the one hand, at scale, and with minimal, you think about it, minimal waste. And so the best way to do that is to think about what are the fundamental elements that create value, in this case, in a software company. That's why we only do enterprise software. I'm not smart enough to do anything else. Okay.
I love that, by the way, your concentration of power. So many people try to so many things, they never get the depth you have.
That's what I think.
Yeah,
Now, some
that to me
guys
is
are
part of your
brilliant out there that
genius.
can run 7 businesses at a time. I'm not that guy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I can run enterprise software companies because they're all organized the same
And you're so
way.
deep.
Yes. And you say, okay, and guess what? When we learn something here, we can now go apply it 15 other places. Let me give you an example in AI. Okay. In the last 18 months, we've already had 4 what we call hackathons. Well, what do we mean by hackathons? Okay. We bring our engineer, each one of the companies, you can bring 1 or 2 teams.
Okay.
Okay. And so the companies bring, we have 30, 40 teams go to these hackathons, 1 or 2 teams. Okay. Then we bring the folks from all our partners.
Yeah.
Okay. And they bring their scientists and engineers and they write code. And they do it over a weekend or a couple of days. And then they judge and grade each other. Okay, who wins? We give away, prizes and steak dinners and all that kind of stuff, right? Stuff engineers like. Well, guess what? We'll find out, man, that's a great application. That application will work in these 4 other companies, these 15 other companies, these 20 other companies. So now we take that application. All right, do we need to put it on a different platform? Boom. Yes. We'll do. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So you do that. And
The value add is just geometric. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Okay. And it's a process. And so the next one is next month. And then the next one is 2 months after that, right? So if you think about it over a 3-year cycle, 2.5, 3-year cycle, we would have 6 of these hackathons with 180 of our top engineering teams, with the top development teams who are developing this code. We get early releases of stuff from some of these players, and our people are like, wow, here's what it is. Okay, and then from that, you can now say, okay, now take this Scrum team and go deliver them to these 5 other companies. Here's how you do that. And then we have our CEOs all get together and our CXOs all to get together and share and exchange and talk and have Slack channels and all the sorts of things that enable them to think about how do they advance each one of the little aspects of what makes their business run and can be more successful. That's how we do it.
Well, I mean, you refer to it as constant, never-ending improvements. So,
Right.
what's I've got to ask for the audience because they're going to be wondering. You said hackathon. Normally, hackathon means you're trying to break into stuff. In this situation, you're talking about building stuff. It's not really hacking.
No, it's hacking.
System.
It's just we're hacking, just tapping
Hacking
on
out.
it. Hacking it
I
out.
want to clarify something.
Yeah.
So you said something earlier that I know a lot of people get panicked about, and I think I remember I sat down with President Obama, and I was asking him 10 years ago or 8 years ago. I said, you look at the productivity that's happening already, and then we're just talking about, let's say, things like self-driving cars, things of that nature. That'll no one's going to hire a truck driver to drive a truck when I can have a self-driving truck that works 24 hours a day versus 8 hours a day. I don't have the healthcare issues. I don't have complaints, right? I have probably less insurance, and I get to write down the asset, right?
Right.
So all those Uber drivers, taxi drivers, truck, that's 5 million jobs in the United States. That's how many jobs we lost in 2008 that made the economy go crazy.
Yeah.
So all this productivity, we've seen going from, let's say, farmers 150 years ago, where 80% of the population was farmers, to now it's 3%. We take care of the world because of productivity.
Right.
That change was slow. This change is fast. And I asked Obama, I said, is anybody getting these people ready for their new jobs, their new direction? He said, well, we don't think it's going to happen that fast. And I said, my experience, if you study history, is like it goes, and then boom, this is it, right? We're geometric. It's not like anything in the past that you prepared for. So I know this isn't your job, but I'm curious, two questions. There's going to be so many jobs disrupted by that. But what does a person in that position do so that they can use AI and become more valuable in their company? Do you still see, is there a stage in which you don't need human beings to that at all, that the AI is designing it all? I assume there is.
I think that it will be an evolutionary process, to your point.
Will it be evolution or revolutionary?
No, I think it's going to be evolution. It's just going to, the speed of change is going to be
That's what I mean,
more
revolution.
rapid. No, I agree.
Speed.
No, I agree. Right? So, look.
And that's not your responsibility. I'm saying,
Yeah.
what do you think is real so they hear it? Because you know more about this industry than anybody probably alive. I'm not blowing smoke your way. It's true.
Yeah.
What would somebody in that position do? And then what do owners think about in that area?
So there's layers. Okay, the first layer, let's start here. There are 1 billion knowledge workers out there, which developers are. Now, had we sat 4 years ago, and we sat in these tables, you said, Robert, what's your biggest problem? I said, my biggest problem is we have 5 million open recs in software development jobs around the world. That many, not us, the world. Okay, we were always running a deficit, 5, 8, 10,000. Like we're constantly trying to find developers, constantly trying to. Well, guess what? The tide has shifted. So anyone, I apologize to anyone I said send their kid to become a computer science.
Well, that was my next question in a second. So we'll come back to that.
Because now things have all changed,
Yes,
right? Things have changed. So that's one layer. That 1 billion knowledge workers provided $40 trillion. You think about it today of global GDP, what they're getting in salaries, and they're taking care of families. That is all going to get disrupted at some rate and stage. My sense is,
I mean, I know you
it
don't know for
depends.
sure.
I think there's going to be a regulatory overlay on this, where it's going to be.
To try and slow it down.
I think so, but
because the jobs are going to be, affected so fast.
I think so. Look, I think it's above my pay grade as to who makes those decisions, but I think that's will happen. Okay. So in certain environments, it's going to happen quite rapidly. In others, not so much. Okay. So
second layer.
Yeah. So the second layer is within each portfolio company. So what's the point? I said, listen, guys and gals, we have to pivot everyone. Everyone in our organizations has to now think about how to make what they do more effective utilizing AI and Gen AI.
That's how you become valuable today.
Absolutely. And that's across every one of our portfolio companies. Again, I've got 100% of these companies now pivoted in one way, shape, form, or another. I think there will be a group of companies that become agentic in their nature, and I think there'll be a group of companies, what I call Gen AI enabled, that can, you guys are familiar with the rule of 40, which is a combination of EBITDA margin plus growth rates, rule of 40, 25% EBITDA margin, 15% growth rate. Everybody thought, it's a good software company. I think you can run these companies at rule of 70 and rule of 80. Yes.
Wow.
Okay. That's where that's going.
Wow.
These things become wildly profitable if you run them well and you actually leverage Gen AI across all the aspects of running an enterprise software company, which means it can grow ridiculously fast, or you're going to reduce the headcount of people in those organizations. Who gets reduced? Well, if you aren't embracing these solution sets, this is a new technology. Just like, at some point in time, someone said, guess what? Railroads aren't as efficient, right? And now we went from, million railroad workers to I don't know how many there are today, but a fraction of what it is.
Yes.
So every one of these industrial revolutions, this is the next revolution. And
it's here.
And it
That's
is
what
here and
people
it
need.
is now.
Yeah, that's right.
Constraints to that growth. We talked about it before the broadcast. Power. Okay, inference. All right, all those things. Now, of course, what we're figuring out, and the cost of inference is coming down dramatically. We saw, a DeepSeek come out, for instance. People, oh my goodness. Well, if you look at our cost curve estimates, it's exactly on the curve. I could show you exactly on the curve. The thing that surprised people is where it came from. Okay, so that's kind of point one.
Yeah.
But then you also...
And we don't know if those numbers are real anyway.
We don't, right? But you can actually start to tune now, call it the enterprise inference requirements that actually are lower power, okay?
Right.
And depends, some can handle different, levels of latency.
Yes.
Okay, and so now you can think about, okay, well, where's the inference coming from? What's the cost of that inference? What's the capability of it? And how do you make it so that it can operate in an enterprise environment, in our enterprise environment, which is part of the factory build, if you think about it. So it will happen fast. And then you've got what I call the grandmother question. Okay, where the grandmothers come to me. My mother, shout out to mom, just turned 90 today. Happy birthday, mom.
Happy birthday,
I
Mom.
know, right? She's like,
That's
okay,
awesome.
well, what do you tell your kids to study?
Yes.
Okay.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
We're on the same page.
Right. Yeah. I don't know.
You know,
But
tell me if I'm right
I
or wrong
will
on
tell
this.
you,
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
will tell you, it's important they understand the impact that AI is having in their world. So they've got to have some familiarity with it. You've got to teach them to be critical thinkers and to be curious.
Yes.
They may not have to rely on data recall the way that we all did.
Right.
Okay.
Because it'll be there.
Right. It'll be there. But so then it's okay, what's the next generation or iteration of the value that they create in the environments in which they serve?
Yes.
Okay, so I think that's part of it. That's that generation's challenge. Like we as parents, we talked about this before.
Yeah.
We as parents, part of our job is equip them to be successful, but they have got to go navigate their way as well to be successful in a world that is going to constantly change. Because their generation, when they're our age, hopefully we're all still around. But okay,
Absolutely.
all right. When they're our age, their children.
Yes.
Are going to have a similar or a different, probably, undoubtedly, set of technologies
100%.
that they're dealing with that says, oh, wow, our world is changing again.
So you know, this is such an important distinction. I hope people watching, because there's a lot of fear out there about this. And when I tell people, I have 5 kids and 5 grandkids. I have I have a 50-year-old daughter, and I have, thanks to the shutdown that we had for a period of time, I have a 4-year-old daughter now.
No, I love it. Yeah, I've got 5-year-old in my youngest.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's
we're
great.
the same place.
All the
And
best.
I got 5 grandkids. So I think, what do I want them to have, knowing the world is changing this fast? And to me, I look at the common denominator, even you, myself, all the people that we know, it's like 3 skills that they have to learn. They have to learn pattern recognition.
Right.
Because it's really the ability to learn, right? Once you recognize patterns, there's no fear because you know it's not random, right?
Right.
Then they got to learn pattern utilization. That's where the power is, right?
Right.
And so you look at someone as a great musician, a great businessman, somebody great, they know how to, and then the third level I've tried to teach my kids, it's like if you play the piano somebody else's pattern long enough, then there's a point in which you come about, and now you become a pattern creator.
Right.
Now your value explodes geometrically.
Agreed.
Regardless, and you're using technology to do it, using whatever you use to do it.
Agreed.
Would you agree with those patterns? Is anything I'm missing in that area?
I would agree. I teach my kids one other thing is that make sure you take care of your dad in his old age. I like to be a little self-serving, but in a seriousness, I think those are the for our generation.
Yes.
Those are the right things to deliver to them.
Yes.
Okay, and how you understand this. And I tell my kids, I said, listen, you know, there's. I give them there's like I said, there's 3 lessons that I teach them. The first one is that you are enough, and that really sums up some of that. It's like, okay, you are enough. You're enough to be the person you want to be. You don't necessarily need, you know, some accolade or acknowledgement or recognition from someone else. If you want to go be a musician, you want to be a luthier, whatever it might be, you have the power and capacity to do that and to change the condition of you and your family and the community that you care about. You are enough to do that. So there's a part of, you know, that learning and the lack of fear and the confidence to get them that. The second thing is discover the joy of figuring things out. Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
So we walk through
And
that
that's
a
what
little
the
bit.
pattern recognition utilization is all about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. That's what you've done your whole life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the third thing I tell them, love is all that matters.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
So
love you on
that's
that,
what I
brother.
tell them. Look, I
Yes.
hope that
I'm with
they
you on
take that all in because I'm not leaving them anything else. But those are the 3 things I think are important for me to impart upon them as a father.
That's beautiful.
Well, those are beautiful things for everyone to understand and to know. And when you think about, you know, what you want to be remembered for and what people 100 years from now, when they think about Robert Smith, what do you want them to say about you?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. I want them to say that I was a great father, a great husband, a great community leader, a member of, you know, the American fabric, and I made a contribution while I was here. And the contribution helped people, it helped institutions, and it helped us progress to become a better nation. I want them also to say that he built some great friendships with people all over the world.
That's beautiful.
I am touched sometimes when I travel and, you know, with some of my, you know, investors and friends, we've been friends for 20 years.
Yeah.
And our families know each other. And, you know, I know their children. They know my it's a neat thing, man. It's just, I feel so blessed to just be in this position to do what I'm doing and to do it in a way I think that is unique, is a lot of fun and adds a lot of value. So I'm hopeful that they look back on my life at some point in time and say, all right, this guy did okay and was a good guy and did stuff the right way. So
I think most importantly, your parents must be proud. You've
Yeah.
done them well. The values they instilled into you, you then expanded upon and used. You had to expand on it. You brought you to it.
Yeah,
and
brought
you've done
you to it.
something-
That's it. Yeah.
And I think that's what we want our kids to do too, right? You're standing on your parents' shoulders, and then you've taken that level. They provided that foundation. It's quite beautiful, Robert. You're
Yeah,
a beautiful
thank
man.
you, Tony.
I want to touch one other thing.
Yeah.
You're 62, 63?
Yeah, you don't have to tell everybody that. When I walked in, the makeup artist said,
Well,
wow,
they
this guy
never
looks
know.
35. So I was riding high. Now you just
Well,
yeah.
I just turned 65 myself, and nobody tells that. Oh, I shouldn't tell them either, right? But one of the things I found, and I want other people to know, is what this stage of life is like if you've focused your life on contribution in some form and you've taken care of your health. Those are the two
Yeah.
elements, right? If you have love in your life, you've contributed and you've grown, you've made a difference. This stage of life, I don't think a lot of people think this is going to be old. I mean, you and I can feel it. I know you can feel it. You're not the same age, but it's like this feels like the beginning. And the level of joy and happiness and everyday fulfillment. And I think a lot of people, in their 20s and 30s, in their 20s trying to prove yourself, maybe 30s, 40s, hopefully you've proven yourself enough to yourself, you know who you are a bit, you start to grow, you start to really master things. You can move more with your pinky than you used to do, working 12 hours a day, and then if you realize what you do, you work 15 hours a day anyway. But this stage of life is my happiest stage, and I don't know you long enough to know if it is for you, but would this be the happiest stage of your
I
life?
would agree. And I'd sum it up in 2 words: grace
Yes.
and gratitude.
I 100% agree.
Okay.
100% agree.
Yeah.
Robert. 100% agree.
I am grateful for every person along this journey
Me too.
who taught me so much.
Yes.
Okay. Some taught me great, wonderful lessons, and some taught me some lessons about
What to
humanity
avoid.
that I'm like, okay, I don't like those kind of people.
Yeah.
Right. And there's an important part of that. And then the grace that comes with what we are able to deliver to communities that we care about.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, it's a new thing. I've got a good friend of mine who's part of my Bible study class, and he and I talk about. He's like, you should feel blessed to be a blessing, and that's one of the
Absolutely.
greatest things, to feel blessed to be a blessing, because the three of us have the opportunity to be blessings for people, to improve their condition in retirement, improve their opportunity to create for their families, to improve their outlook on themselves, their lives.
Yes.
I mean, what you do improves people's view of themselves and
Yes.
what they can go accomplish. Look, we do a lot of things and we create a lot of value. And, I have a bunch of I think 50% of the school teachers and police officers, we manage money for in the
Yes.
U.S., which is great. And that's an important part of our job.
Yes.
As important it is to create an environment where my people know that they have the capacity beyond that to change the communities that they live in.
I agree 100%.
That is so important. So that's the grace part of this.
Yeah, I wear these hats that say "Continued outside." I get people to wear them that says "Be a blessing and you'll be blessed."
Yes,
'Cause
that's it.
That's to me. That's the whole game of life.
That's it. That's it.
all you have to do.
Yeah.
Focus on being a blessing and you'll be blessed. You don't have to worry about being blessed. You don't have to worry about doing
It's
that
so
if you're
funny.
being a blessing.
When did that come to you? I mean, because I look at my kids now, my older kids, and I don't think they get that quite yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. When did that come
I
to
got
you?
it at an early age, but I think I got it because we suffered so much.
you
and
got
something
it
came to
early.
us.
You got it early.
I was very lucky. I think very early on, seeing people suffering, I never could separate from that. I suffered, but I suffered less because I was focused on taking care of other people.
Right.
My mom people interviewed my mom when she was still alive, and they'd say, "Has he always been like this?" And she said, "I'll tell you. When he was 4 years old, my mom couldn't move. She was, depressed and also pregnant. And so I had to be responsible. 4 years old, go to the liquor store and buy stuff. She said, I gave him money to go buy milk and bread, and he's gone forever.
Yeah.
And she said, he came back, and I had no milk or bread. She goes, where's the milk and bread? I said, well, there's a poor boy there. So I gave him money. She goes, we're poor.
Right. Like, what do you think? Yeah. Right.
I want to ask you something I'd love just to capture. I'm working a book on decisions right now. And just real quickly, I believe it's your decisions more than your conditions that shape your life.
Yeah.
We all have horrible conditions at times, ridiculous, sometimes unjust conditions.
Yeah.
But it's the decisions we make, I think, that ultimately shape our destiny. And I think grace can help shape that. There's zero question in my mind. I believe in grace. But I'm curious, if you look back on your life, and I know this is a big question, and I'm not looking for the exact answer, but are there 2 or 3 decisions that you can look back on and say, if I would have made a different decision, my life would be completely different today, that you're grateful that you made?
Yeah, I would say so. I had the great fortune last year. I decided to go on a Camino. Okay. So I didn't do the 34 day. I did the 6 day because, finding 34 days of my life.
Yeah, of course,
right?
yeah.
But 6 days was wonderful. My cousin who had just recovered from cancer, he said, I'd like you to come with me.
Yes.
I said, okay. And so, he's smart enough to ask me a year in advance. So I can a year ask me to do something a year from now. Yeah, let's do it. Right. And it was like, oh my gosh. Right. And my wife, we're getting she's like, have you trained for this? I said, I don't need to train for this. She's like, you're walking 8 to 10 hours a day. I said, I got this. I went and walked the other day in Manhattan. I'm good. Ooh, man. Right. Yeah. All that stuff. That's why we're sandals. It just helps my feet now. But I will tell you, I had a chance to replay my life. And I call it the tape of my life. My cousin, love him dearly. I grew up, my dad was eldest of 8, big family, 22 kids at your birthday party. You could invite one friend because 21 were your cousins. It was that kind of a family, right? And it was wonderful and all that. But he's a little chatty, so he likes to talk. And so the first day I'm like, okay, so I have a little speaker on my backpack. I say, listen, when the music's on, that means I'm kind of in my thoughts. So I kept the music playing for 5 days straight. But what that gave me a chance to do was really reflect on exactly that, decisions. Okay.
Yes.
There was one major decision to go away to school, to go to Cornell. So I gave you a little bit of the construct of my family. My dad, eldest of 8, took care of all the 6 sisters. One of his brothers died, and their kids. And so I remember he was an elementary teacher and then became a school principal. And so when he got his check, that was like everybody, was able to now feed their kids. My cousins. Right. I mean, that was what was happening because a lot of them were on, different forms of assistance and all that sort of stuff. And I saw that. And, I got scholarships to play, football and all that sort of stuff in different places. But in Colorado, I've got scholarships to, School of Mines and Colorado State and but I realized that if I stayed in town, I would just be taking over my father's place. Okay. And that was to provide for that community in a way.
How old were you when you made this realization?
17 years old.
I was going to say, that's such a young age to make that decision.
Okay. So remember, while I'm working at Bell Labs, now for the first time, I met somebody who went to an Ivy League school. Okay. Vic Hauser, he went to Brown. Okay, Stanford. I was like, wow, brilliant cat. Just right. And so he started telling me about what these schools were about. Yeah. And of course, I would go visit CU and CSU and School of Mines. And that was wild for me. I was like, wow, this is pretty. And my dad went to Denver University. My mom went to DC Teachers College and then University of Northern Colorado. But I didn't know anybody who went to these Ivy League schools. And so as a result of that experience, I got a chance to now go visit Cornell. Right. And I went to go visit, flew out there, had $235, and I was like, oh, for a summer program. And that was one of those, wow, I need to go to a place like that. So decisions about, and this kind of leads to the next one, who you spend your time with.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay? Like they say, if you spend your time with 5 fit people, you'll be fit.
Yeah.
Okay, it's the same sort of dynamic. So when you go to a place where these people who are focused on, doing something different, making changes in the world, solving complex problems, making a difference in the world, that's why the school was so important for me there. Okay, don't get me wrong. I'm still very close with the guys I went to high school with.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh, dude, we hang out every year. We have a big thing every summer, all that. So,
Awesome.
the kids, I'm Uncle Rob, it's all of that.
Yeah.
They're in different places in life.
Sure, of
okay,
course.
different stations, like all are driving themselves forward in the best that they know how.
Yes.
I just had a different aperture earlier.
Yeah.
So I can make a different set of decisions.
Yes.
Okay, so there's that.
A larger reference base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
and
that
you're
was
in proximity with power, right?
Right.
Proximity is power.
One of the other things that was interesting, I'll call it, and I'll stop after this, but another unique, well, there's a few, but another unique moment. Remember, I graduated degree chemical engineering. I got my first job. I was making $32,000 a year. Okay, that was just more than my father made at the peak of his career. I didn't think you made more money than that.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't think this is 1980, right? And how could you make more money than that? That was just insane amount of money.
Yeah.
And then I read this magazine about these guys on Wall Street. Okay, and I started, what is Wall Street? I had no idea. I was an engineer. I'm writing code, and nobody can write I'm writing machine language.
Yeah, machine
Man,
language.
I'm not writing high level. I'm writing machine language, assembly language, building assemblers to assemble that code to actually control this. I'm at that level.
Wow.
Okay, and which is kind of cool. If you're like geeky, that's like some cool stuff. And I'm reading about these guys at Wall Street. And I met some guys. I was actually in upstate Buffalo, New York, and they're telling me about stocks. I'm like, well, what are stocks? I didn't know what they were. What are bonds? What all this sort of stuff? And so I had a little book club. We'd get together, and then so I started understanding the difference between labor and capital. And so the decision. Let me go back, because I was thinking about going back to med school or something, okay. And I talked to my granddad at the time, and I said, Granddad, I think I'm gonna leave this job and go back to school. He said, well, why would you ever leave a job like that? You know, because my granddad, you know, he was had 3 post offices, retired, all, you know what I mean? This was a big deal. I'm making $32,000 a year. You kidding me? Why, son, what are you doing? Right? And I said, there's a whole different thing. They value in this country the ability to manage capital more than, call it, you know, a little different now, but, you know, labor, okay? I'm smart labor is what I am. So that was one of those decisions.
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm, you know, chugging through, you know, and I did well first year of business school, you know, top student. So I got an award, had to come back for the summer. And the guy's keynote speaker, good friend of mine, John Newton-Dahl, you know, he had to give it, he said, they, you know, do my award and all that sort of stuff, top grades, all that. And he's like, have you ever thought about a career in investment banking? And I'm like, look, there's a bunch of ex-investment bankers in my class at business school. I said, but I don't like any of them. And he's like, and he's kind of looking at her. He's like, well, why not? I said, well, I said, they think they know everything. They're pretty arrogant. You got to understand, I'm an engineer. We do know everything. It bothers us, right? So I said, but in all honesty, John, I said, I don't know what they do for a living. I don't understand what they do. Nobody had actually explained it to me.
Yes.
And so he said, why don't you come down to my office? I was at Columbia, right? He said, why don't you come down to my office? And I had lunch with him, and what was going to be a 30-minute lunch went, you know, 2.5 hours. At the end of that lunch, he called, like, he was the CFO of Morgan Stanley, the CFO of Merrill Lynch, you know, Goldman Sachs, all, and said, you're just going to, you know, like, you got to interview, you got to talk to this kid, right? And so I talked to these guys. So I ended up getting the job. Actually, from every major investment bank, I went to Goldman Sachs, right? Because Goldman was the only one that actually had a teamwork orientation. Everybody else, this was the guy, you worked for him. And I'm like, okay, everybody around that guy's been around him 6 years. And here I am as some newcomer, not being in investment banking, having worked for 6 years. It's like, no way I'm going to get an inside track on that. So yeah, decisions, right? So I'm like, let me go to Goldman, teamwork orientation, go there, start really work, do well.
Where your merit would be rewarded.
Yeah, well, I didn't know it was going to be rewarded, but what would happen is I could get exposed to it.
I get it.
Okay, well, you'd actually get to work on deals.
Just like you did with your engineering friend back at Bell, right? Same thing, yeah.
Right, you get to see things. Okay, so I'm doing that.
By the way, that's why the people don't understand why this whole idea of distant work, you know, doesn't work, because you miss the mentoring. You miss everything.
Yeah.
You're missing the chance to grow geometrically by being around wisdom that you're never going to absorb by just joining on a Zoom call.
It's crazy. So I built, so I'll tell you, so I built what was called real life training, because I realized, oh man, this is a fact pattern based business.
Yes.
Okay. So you got 6, you know, partners. And remember, Goldman at that time, we had like 6 M&A partners. That was it, right? And, you know, VPs, I said, every Friday, if you're not out of town, I want you to, we'll put the books together. You come and just walk through with the elements of a deal. And so for an hour and a half for lunch, that's what we do. So I created that little program also. So then Mac Heller asked me to become what was called the, you know, the business unit manager there. And then I started evaluating. So here's one of those decision points. And we had to evaluate people and process and all that. And then there was this thing called technology that was happening. We advised this company called IBM and this company called Microsoft we took public. But every other investment bank was sending guys out to the left coast. So I called Gene Sykes. I said, Gene, we need to start a tech group. He's like, well, what do you mean? I said, look, you got all, he's like, well, I'm in LA, and he's doing, our idea was tech was Northrop Grumman, you know, General Dynamics. Okay. We
military,
took
basically.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
And so I do an analysis. I said at that time, Frank Quattrone and all that. I said, listen, they're in Hamburg and Quist and Alex Brown and Robbie Stevens, Montgomery Church. They got, you know, Morgan Stanley, all these guys out there. We were just running around. So Gene calls me and said, okay, let's start a tech group. Why don't you come out to LA? I said, Gene, it's in San Francisco.
Proximity again.
Yeah. Okay, it's in San Francisco.
That's a huge decision.
Yeah, and I said,
sounds like a little one, but it was a huge decision.
It was huge. So we talk about decisions, and Gene's like, I don't know. LA is much better weather. And he said, okay, why don't you come? Remember, land is blind, one-eyed man's king. I'm like an engineer, the only engineer running around who can actually spell software, right? So I go out, and I said, Gene, the only way I'll do it is if you actually spend time with me in San Francisco, because I'd worked with every other partner by then. in M&A.
Yes.
So I go out to San Francisco. Okay, Gene, buys a house, spends 8 days there a year, but those 8 days he spent with me, kind of teaching and training, which was great.
Yeah.
And I advised a little company called Apple,
Wow.
right? A little company called Hewlett Packard.
What years would this be?
1997. Okay, Hewlett Packard. This little company called eBay. Little company called Yahoo. Okay, Hewlett Packard, Texas Instruments, right? And so that's one of those decisions. And oh, by the way, when I went out, they're like, we're not sure this tech thing is going to be big, so I had Unilever as one of my clients. I'm telling you, I had just in case, right? I had Earth's Best Baby Food. I mean, it was like, okay, you're like, I got some organic farms out in California. You keep covering them. I'm like, all right. We're not sure this tech thing's gonna work out for us, right? Literally, right? So decisions. So point is, yeah.
And so I'm just curious. Philosophically, it sounds like a great line, but you look at those things, and you certainly played an important role. You made those tough decisions. You made risks, but a lot of grace and all that, isn't there?
A lot of grace.
Unbelievable amount of grace.
All things, had I not had been prepared with an understanding. I remember that you said, you know what, you've got a unique set of attributes. One, you're an engineer, so you're in the process. Two, you spent time at Goldman Sachs, so you actually understand, capital markets.
Yes.
And three, you actually understand software.
Yeah.
He's like, I haven't met anyone.
And four, you're a hungry son of a bitch.
You're a hungry son of a bitch.
Quit, and you're relentless.
Yeah, all right. It's like, okay, all right. I can work with that.
Well,
okay.
Awesome. It goes back to the same point of being prepared when called. Right? It just, you have to be ready because you don't know when that call is going to come. And that call was obviously.
And you know how this works. When you're the first in the, I always, even today, I'm still, when I go in the office, usually I'm the first one there, 6:30, 7 o'clock.
That's awesome.
I'm not necessarily the last one to leave, so I'm usually going to jump on a plane and go somewhere else. That's a dynamic that, again, no matter what age you are, I don't think, it's just who you are.
That's your hunger, the hunger part I was talking about. It's like people ask me, what is the difference? I love insanely, wickedly intelligent people. I'm a fairly smart person myself. But what I found more important is hunger.
Right.
Because you're not going to maximize it. But I'm in a hunger that doesn't go away. A hunger to be more, to do more, to give more, to create more.
Yeah.
That kind of hunger is.
Right.
I was curious, when you look for people, and I'll ask questions about conscious of your time here. When you're looking for people, what are your non-negotiables for leaders that you're looking for? Like when you think about leaders, because that's what you do, right? You're recruiting leaders, you recruit people.
Yeah,
what are the leadership qualities you're looking for that you think are lasting and have duration? And
one of the most important, there's a balance always. I've been saying this for years, you don't always get it right. It's intelligence and it's loyalty. Okay, right? There's that balance. And then you have this thing, and it's that grit and that tenacity. Can they actually, and look, sometimes you can't determine that. Because, our
you've been around somebody and put under pressure in different situations.
Yeah, and our environment produces people who can say that they were that.
Yeah, I understand.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, they weren't really that.
Yeah.
Okay. Or they weren't, and so there's part of it. And look, there's utility too. Certain people are, we've learned because, our companies, right?
Yeah.
A person who took a business from 0 to 20 million in ARR isn't necessarily the right person from 20 to 50 or 50 to 200 or 200. And so, starting to now discern what actually is the right quality for that period of time.
But so much of it is so hard to find because of the fact that the individuals know how to fake their way through an interview.
Yeah.
And so how do you try to discern which of them are real and which of them are just good actors?
Build from the draft and not from the trade. Okay.
So build from the draft,
but not from the trade. If you look at my senior people, they all started as associates. And so you have years and years of observation, and you can test and build their mettle to see, okay, are they that or are they something else? And I, every now and then you see people flame out. I will tell you, I've had some senior people flame out.
Just they got tired.
Well.
Or they hit their utility.
They hit the utility.
Okay.
And some are just, they just don't, they can't handle the pressure. They can't do hard things. You kind of see, I always crack up because, back in the day, I'd look at people, okay, we're about to get involved in a deal. Now this person has to go out on vacation. I'm like, okay, so you really don't want to get in the fight and make this happen. And so those who don't have that mettle, who haven't been able to really, hone their own mettle, okay, they flame out.
So the interesting thing about that, though, is when you're running a software company that you've acquired, you have a situation to where you need to
test them.
Literally
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
You got to get there fast because you can't hold the company for 22 years
Right.
or for 25 years like
Right.
Vista's been.
Right.
You got to be able to make this business really, really valuable
Yeah.
in 4, 5, 6,
Yeah.
or 7.
Yeah.
So you can't necessarily do it from the draft instead of the trade.
So as a portfolio company, so that's what we do: aptitude test and personality profile.
Okay.
And we look at those, and every quarter we got a 9 box that we look at, and not I laugh sometimes. Some of my senior executives go native.
What do you mean?
Okay, you know, my people, not the operators.
Yeah,
are like,
yeah.
Oh, we can change them. I'm like, okay, and then you got to go through okay. Well, how often have you said that has actually happened?
Yes.
Okay, and that's always a challenge.
Yes, it
right?
is.
And so, in driving that, look, we don't always get it right. Not surprising, right?
Yeah.
But we get it right most of the time, more often than not, right? Which is kind of what you have to drive.
Yeah.
When you have 89 companies and you're adding a bunch in add-ons and all that sort of stuff, I mean, you're playing more probability.
Right.
But in the big companies, you have to get really, really right, really, really early.
Sure.
And then you have to, when you're going through IC on the small companies, you've got to look those co-heads in there. Tell me about the nature of that CEO.
Mm-hmm.
I need to understand the nature of who they are. Are they a problem solver? Are they an early stage person? Are they a quitter? Are they going to be able to deal with that? If they lose their top 10 customers, what happens? Right? And I don't get it right. But what happens is, well, look, remember, my co-heads have been around forever now, right? Yeah. But if you look at them, what happens is they've learned from the lessons of the past now.
Sure.
And so they're more valuable today.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the question, the real issue you have with some of them, not the ones that, you know, they start making a little too much money, and now they lose their hunger.
Exactly. Some people are doing it for the money only, right? It's great to have the money as well.
Some are doing it for the money.
Yeah.
And look,
then it doesn't last.
You can't necessarily tell that coming in. You always want to pour smart and hungry.
Well, you also see that with founders too, right?
Yeah.
They get a little money, and then all of a sudden they
It's like,
lose their focus. It's not that
yeah,
piece.
I want to go.
Well, I mean,
You can't relate it, and then I want to punch them in the head.
Yeah, you're like,
it's like, what's the matter with you?
Yeah, what is the
You're
matter
not
with
going to
you?
be fulfilled by that anyway, right? It's
Ever.
got to keep growing and giving. Those are the two things that make it work, right?
Exactly, but they don't necessarily get that, right?
Well, but I mean, it's so hard to find those people that truly are not doing it for the money. They grew up, you know, hungry.
Yeah.
And then they achieve it, and they just go, you know, that's what it's all about, and then they coast. And unfortunately, we know that they're not going to be fulfilled. They're not going to be happy because if we're not growing, we're dying.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to see that until they've had that taste of it.
Yeah.
If they're really going to stick with it.
Yeah, and when you see it, it's disappointing to me. You're like, okay, so you were just in this for the money.
Right.
Okay, all right. You can make a choice. I get
your
that.
choice.
And everybody's got to, you know, some people, because people are, oh man, what's your number? I remember in the early days, what's your number? Now I remember one guy who we got rid of early, and I remember flying back. So we just had one of our major big sales. And I'm on that early morning flight from New York to San Francisco. Okay, and I'm sitting in whatever business class or something, and he comes on. You can tell he's been out all night and, you know, been tying on one. He says, "Man, I hit my number." I'm like, "What?" Okay, no, because he still like, I said, "Man, I called my mom and I sent her a picture, or you know, told her what I had in my bank account, and it was like, you know, $10 million." Yeah. He's like, I hit my number, and I knew at that point he's done.
Yeah.
He's done.
Yeah.
Okay, because there was in Vino Veritas, right?
Yeah, of
okay.
course. Yeah.
Right. I'm like, oh, okay, and I got rid of him within the next year. So, anyway,
Got rid
Blessed
of
to
him.
be
He
a
said,
blessing is a great
"Hold
way
on."
to look at life, and it is something that helps us be impactful. And we're blessed to have you as a guest, Tony. Blessed to have you as a co-host here. And I got to tell you, this has been a lot of fun. And I said at the beginning, we could just go as fast as we wanted. And everybody in the audience, you can play it in slow motion if you need to. Because
he's like, I hit my number, and I knew at that point he's done.
Yeah.
He's done.
Yeah.
Okay, because there was in Vino Veritas, right?
Yeah, of
okay.
course. Yeah.
Right. I'm like, oh, okay, and I got rid of him within the next year. So, anyway.
well, blessed to be a blessing is a great way to look at life, and it is something that helps us be impactful. And we're blessed to have you as a guest, Tony. Blessed to have you as a co-host here.
you, brother.
And I got to tell you, this has been a lot of fun. And I said at the beginning, we could just go as fast as we wanted. And everybody in the audience, you can play it in slow motion if you need to, because we covered a lot of ground and it was packed. Thank you, Robert, for being here.
Absolute
we appreciate
pleasure.
it. And everybody,
So good
thanks
to
for
spend
joining
time
us.
with
We're
you
so
guys.
glad that you decided to listen, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you.
He said got rid of him in the next year. That's crazy. So yeah, he's done. He's not growing anymore. It's time to keep it moving.
My attitude is, if you're happy when you're broke, you'll be happy when you're rich.
You strike me as the type of guy that was broke and happy.
Yes, I was. I wasn't happy to be broke.
now.
Yeah.
Yes.
On this episode of Aspire, I sit
Right,
down
not
with the
happy to be
legendary
broke, but
entrepreneur
broke and happy,
Mark
yeah,
Cuban,
for sure.
and he's not holding anything back.
Whatever excuses you had, they are no more. You've got to do it.
Can anyone be an entrepreneur?
Doesn't matter how many times you fail. You only have to be right one time. Every no gets you closer to a yes.
Today, Mark Cuban gets real about what it takes to build something that lasts, how you can start, how to stick with it, and how you can do it too.
Ka-ching.
What do you say to someone who says, yeah, I don't like AI, I don't want any more technology in my life? What is the answer?
You're
Basically, do or die. What is left in your life for you to accomplish?
Oh, I'm just getting started.
I do not understand why you're not the president of this country. I know everybody asks you, but are you 100% sure? All right, Mark, I'm so happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
No, I'm excited too. I couldn't be more excited. Obviously, you and I met on Shark Tank,
Yep.
which was, I don't know, a couple of years back now. I had the distinct pleasure of sitting next to you for 3 seasons.
Yeah, they always put the rookies next to me.
Yes, they do. Well, I asked as well. I was like,
did
"Do
you? Oh, good.
Well, it was just a very good use of my time if during the pitches or between the pitches I could just like sit and quiz you on things, which I did. But obviously, you've stepped away after so many years. What was it? 14 seasons. 15 seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Dang.
kind of unbelievable. How did you even know that it was time to step away?
I mean, I've been missing my son's birthdays every year because we shot a pod right at his birthday.
Mm-hmm.
I miss them going back to school, finishing school. And, it was always, okay, we can't do this till Dad's done with Shark Tank. And it was just time. My kids are 15, 18, and 21. And, my oldest is going to graduate from college next year. I just don't want to be in a position where okay, I'm going to Shark Tank and they're gone and I missed a lot of it. And so that was one big piece, just spending more time with family and it was just time. You
I
can
love
only
that.
do the same thing
For so long.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because you hear so many stories about women that give up certain things in work for the family, but not so many men talk about that and the trade-offs that come along with working in that way. So it's kind of interesting to hear you admit it in a way.
Yeah, I guess I never really looked at it that way. It's just this is, when I look at all the things in my life that are important to me, that's at the top. And that wasn't always the case. I wasn't one of these people who balanced work and home. I was still a grinder, and when I was trying to climb, it was just let's go, 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 go. And, let's get into the next chapter, let's get to the next level, whatever it was. And what it's like, you have young kids, right? And they're real people, but they're not real people.
Yes.
Right? They miss you, but they don't know that you're gone, really, and they're happy when you're home.
It's
But
harder as they get older.
As they get older,
Yes.
they have their own lives and they want to do their own thing, and it's harder to insert yourself. It's like, I don't want you there, Dad, and then when that hits home.
Why did you stay for so long?
It kind of habit but more importantly, it sent a message, particularly to kids, that the American dream was alive and well. That, you saw all the people, that came in, Erica from Limbits,
Oh,
it's like, how do you get from there to here? And the example that it sets, all these things we're talking about, when you get to see somebody who's doing it, that went from just idea,
yeah,
didn't have anything,
totally.
boom, and just got
I
there.
say this all the time. It's like you cannot be what you don't see, and for me,
It's a great line.
it's a nice line, isn't it? But to me, it's so true because you have to be able to have, a representation of people that feel similar to you,
Yes.
that you can see yourself in. And every time I did that
Cannot
show
be
to
what
me,
you don't see.
but it's true, isn't it? So
that should be
true.
the tagline for Shark Tank. It really should be. It really should be.
Do you feel like you made a lot of sacrifices? Have you been able to kind of, I guess, level with yourself on the sacrifices that you have made?
Yeah, I mean, I don't look at them as sacrifices along the way because I love what I do. I love what I did. I love the path that I took. But at some point, I had to be honest with myself that my kids are smart. They're going to do their own thing. We raised them to be independent.
All right.
And they're going to leave the house. And they're not going to give a
All
shit.
right, let me see what this
That's it.
They'll go home for holidays, and
that
that'll
looks like.
kill me, And
Right,
so I
barely
want to catch
anything.
as many of those moments as I can. Maybe when they're all gone, living their own lives, have their own kids and all that, things will change. But for now, that was the path.
That's it's a really good decision. It feels like a sound one. I want to go back to the
You sure?
beginning. I think
Are you
it's a
okay
good
with it?
decision. I'm at ease with it. I mean, I will miss you from my TV screen. That's,
Right,
I feel like
whatever.
you were the reason that people watch that show. Like
don't
in
think
so,
so,
I mean,
yeah.
you're one of the big reasons. You must know that about yourself. You were a huge draw on the show. I don't feel like anyone gives as good a honest advice as you do, and so I feel like you're a
I
massive
appreciate
draw
you.
on that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But I always thought it was the entrepreneurs, right? Everybody
Yes.
played the game. What are the, would I buy that company? Would I invest? What do I think about the company? Will I buy the product? And then, I would talk my talk and do my thing, which I had fun doing, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I still think, the show will go on because it's about the entrepreneurs.
No doubt, no doubt. I just feel like the advice that you gave was the stuff that people was writing down.
Yeah, and
there
I
was a
always
lot of
try to
value
give
to
good
that.
advice,
You
right?
did.
Because I wanted, their whole life. You know what it's like, right? You start with nothing, and it's just like it's constant fear. You might be fired up about your business, and you might love it, and you might, in your mind, you have that path you're taking, but you're scared shitless half the time.
Yeah.
One mistake and it's over. And so when they get to that carpet, and they're one of, the thousands of people who applied, and they get there, if I have experience that could help them, I'm going to give it to them.
100%. I always felt the same like that. If somebody has made it here, the very least I could do was be honest.
Yes.
And tell them what
And
my
you
actual
always
opinion
were.
is. Yeah. And they can at least leave with something, even if they don't leave with an investment.
Because that's the goal, right? Even
Yes.
if it's not a check, right? Because that's the thing about a shark investing in you. It's not just the check. There's other value and other value add that you can bring. And you were always really good about that. When they got in your house, I was like,
I'm ready.
Mom, just let Emma do her thing, right?
You always like, do this, Mom. I'm like, Mom said I should do it.
You're good, right? It's just like I can see the look on the face, and they're staring right at you.
Right, like, no,
right?
they do. When they want you, they're like
looking
right in your
right
ears,
at
and
you,
you're like, oh, it's me. I'm the
Emma,
chosen
Emma,
one.
come on. Yeah, you
And then
are the
sometimes you're like, I ain't doing this. I don't care how much you lie for me. I'm like, it's safe. Mark, you doing this?
Anything, because that's the hardest part of Shark Tank, going out.
I know, it's the hardest part. It really is. And also you feel, I'm such an emotional girl, but I really felt you can see how nervous they are, how much they've prepared. And to walk out with seemingly nothing, like it's a lot.
Well, the visibility is always good. And some of the companies end up better, right? Because someone else comes in and makes them a better deal or buys them whatever. But yeah, you always had this vibe, which was like, I know your business. I could help you.
Yes.
The question is, will I?
Will I?
Yeah.
Will I? I mean, you helped a lot of people. We're going to get into that. But before we talk any more about Shark Tank, I have to go back to the beginning because you are such a fascinating person. And while I was doing the research for this particular episode, I mean, I learned a lot about it. I thought I was a fan and I knew everything. No apologies needed. I was like, wow, he has done a lot, the most. But I really want to understand a little bit more about your upbringing and where you were from. And also just to understand, like, what gave you the entrepreneurial bug? Like, who did you learn that from?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't learn it from anybody. It was more my dad in particular and my mom just saying, look, if you want something, you got to earn it. You got to go do it. From the time I was a kid, I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My dad did upholstery on cars. So if you had a rip in your car seat, that's where you take it. My mom did odd jobs, never had the same job for very long. Good middle-class family. But it was always like, you want a new pair of basketball shoes? You go get a job. So I would buy and sell trading cards. I was Michael Rubin before Michael Rubin was Michael Rubin. Right?
I had Michael Rubin on the show.
I saw,
it was like an attack.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that you say you were Michael Rubin before Michael Rubin because you have a very similar path in so many ways,
he
right?
hustled and he did his own thing, right?
Yes.
That's why I respect Michael. And so, but anyway, so I would buy and sell trading cards to all my neighbors and everything. And then one day, my dad and his buddies were playing poker, probably drunk out of their mind, right? And I came in and I was like, Dad, I want to get a new pair of basketball shoes. He looks at me and says, those shoes on your feet work. When you have a job, you can get whatever you want. I'm 12 years old. How am I going to get a job? And one of his buddies pops up and goes, hey, I've got all these garbage bags and you can sell them. They're boxes of garbage bags. I got hundreds of them. Why don't you go sell them? I'm like, can I, Dad? He's like, cool. And so I just went door to door selling garbage bags. And it was like, hi, my
Smile
name
on
is
the face.
Mark. Do you use garbage bags?
And everybody does, by the way.
Everybody needs garbage bags. So
I could do
I'll
some.
never forget, they cost me $3 a box. I sold them for $6. One of his buddies, the world's first garbage bag route. You know, and I would drag them down to my neighbors, the world's first garbage bag route for, you know, a year or whatever, and I got my tennis shoes, and I was
That is
happy.
amazing.
But once you learn that that you can sell, and once you learn you have confidence in talking to people, you know, you always have the ability to make money.
Yes, you do. I mean, and obviously understanding that from your parents for a young age must have been pretty formative. What else did they teach you?
You know, my dad was gone at 7 a.m. and home at 6, and, you know, he didn't want me to follow his path, basically. You know, he would take me where he worked, and, you know, I'd get $5 for sweeping the floor and cleaning things, not because he wanted me to make some money or whatever, but it was more he wanted me to see how backbreaking it was. You know, he lost his eye in an accident, and yeah, you know, and just it was backbreaking work, and he wanted me to go to college. I mean, neither of my parents had gone to, even though my mom, when she was 50, went back, but neither of my parents had gone to college. My mom was 20 when I was born. I mean, it was just the prototypical, you know,
Different times.
Pittsburgh, yeah, it was different times, and I just, from that moment on, I was a hustler, you know, I was the whole prototypical grinding all my life, whether it was selling baseball cards, garbage bags, magazines door to door.
Coins, stamps, I read, all the
that
things,
stuff.
all
I
the
would go to a
things.
stamp show, right? Start with 50 cents and leave with $50.
Amazing,
right? You know, and
amazing.
once you figure out, you know, this is how markets work and you can sell.
But you had it, right? It's like, when did the hustle turn into a thirst for entrepreneurialism?
After I realized I was a lousy employee and I was getting fired or couldn't stand it, you know, then I had no choice.
It's always a signal, isn't it? You're like, right.
You're like, see ya, right? You know, when it really hit was, I moved down to Dallas. I was living with 6 guys in a 3-bedroom apartment, sleeping on the floor. And I'd gotten a job first as a bartender, then I got a day job working at a company called Your Business Software selling technology. And, you know, didn't really know technology at the time, but I was like, I'll read the manuals, I'll do whatever. And it was going along great. You know, I was making money, relatively speaking. And then I had a chance to get a big commission, right? So I had a chance to pick up.
What was a big commission back then?
$1,500.
Oh.
Because that was enough for me to move out of the shithole I lived in. Because I was sleeping on the floor.
Get away from the six other guys.
In a 3-bedroom apartment, right? And so I was like, okay, this will get me out. And so I called my boss, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go pick up this check. Because I'm supposed to, you know, sweep the floor, open up the retail store. He's like, no, I need you at the store. I'm like, Michael Umeki was his name. I got you covered, right? And he goes, no, I need you to be in the store. So I'm like, okay, I need this commission check. If I go pick up a check for 15 grand, the store needed it, he needed it. I show up, he fires me. Yeah, so I'm done there. I'm like, okay, I got to control my own destiny. I know I can sell. I know I can do this stuff. So I had a prospect, a company called Architectural Lighting, and I went to them and I said, look, I'm broke, right? I don't have the money for this.
How old are you at this point?
24.
Rejected.
So I've been through jobs and bounced. And so 24, almost 24. And so I went to this company, Architectural Lighting, and I said, this software that you want costs $250. If you give me $500, so I have something to live off for a couple of weeks, if it doesn't work, I'll walk your dog, I'll sweep your floor, I'll wash your car.
Whatever it takes.
And it worked. And then I did something similar for the next one and the next one and the next one. And that was the company Micro Solutions. And I went 7 years without a vacation, but eighth year in, we sold it to H&R Block. And that was my first exit. Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Yeah,
Was that
crazy.
your first big yes? Like, was that the moment where you're like, I understand that I am good at something and I have a path?
Yes, yeah, because then once I got into tech, that was it. It was over. Because I loved learning.
yeah, that's fine.
You know, because the way I looked at it, because I didn't take computer science, so I was like, okay, I get this because I like to learn this stuff. And I, like, even to this minute, like putting in time to learn technology, it's fun to me. Like, to me, like my brain just clicks with it and I get excited about it. Okay, I'm learning this new. When you're learning stuff like that and you have, you know, a sales background and a process background, you can start applying everything that you know to, like the Shark Tank company, right? When Shark Tank company walks in a minute, I know exactly how they make money and what they do and what technology works and doesn't. And, you know, that allowed me to be successful at Micro Solutions. After that, I bought and sold stocks, started a hedge fund and sold it within 9 months. We were just killing it, you know? And so that's when I knew that I was on the path.
And what did you learn from Micro Solutions? Because that was like a different time from a technology perspective,
very
right? There's
new,
like, it was brand new and almost kind of like a wild west thing, right? Like, what did you actually figure out that no one else had figured out at that point?
What separated us, I figured out really early on that it was one thing to sell a computer. It was another thing even to write software. And I taught myself how to code.
Playing this
to
one,
put
you
on
Taught
there.
yourself how to code. How did you do that at that time?
I would spend hours.
Just
like
one
I remember,
stroke off the
I would
lead.
have to write. I would walk into a company and say, okay, this will help you become more profitable, more productive, more profitable, better competitive advantage, right? The whole spiel. And I'll write the software for you, and it'll cost you X amount of dollars. No matter how long it takes me, it'll be X amount of dollars. And so, the pressure was on me, and I would find myself, I'd look up, and I literally would have a bucket of ribs. It was gross.
Bucket of ribs.
And like towels.
Let's
and
see if
I
we
would
get
just like,
this one
I
up
gained
and
like
down
20
the
pounds
path.
to chomp on these ribs. But I look up and it'd be 20 hours later, 25 hours later, because I was concentrating so hard, I lost track of time. And, and so I was able to take all that I learned. And then what I realized that really separated us was connecting PCs together was brand new. And back then people would have a floppy disk and they'd walk around, right? Or they couldn't even connect their printers. Now that seems insane, but I would go into these companies. I'm going to show you how I can connect all these printers and all these computers together. You can share data, become more profitable, and I'll write software.
Ain't gonna let me
to
hit a
make it
flop.
easier.
It's a
And then
question.
I knew what I
What?
wanted.
Have you always had that ability to like take, to really concentrate and focus and double down and take in and absorb information? Were you that type of student?
Yeah. Yes and no. Depends on the topic. If it was sports,
Didn't that look good for a long
If it's
time?
something you enjoy,
Wow.
you can do
I
it.
liked, and once I realized I liked tech, because I
This
had
is
no
his
idea.
fourth shot.
Crazy
I had
work.
literally
One
Yeah,
stroke
don't
off
give me
the
my
lead.
But it's
flop
interesting
back,
that you
boy.
say it was fun. Like, it's like it's something just like sports that you enjoyed. You were just gobbling up with the ribs all the information, right? But that's
Yeah.
it. You were like,
It
it
was
was
gross,
fun
but
for you. You were
I
like,
did.
I'm
To
doing it.
this day, like to this minute,
Oh,
like
that
if I
one
have an
just
extra
missed
minute,
the
like
hole.
now I'm learning all
3
I can
feet
about
to go
AI.
here to the hole.
Because there's some 15-year-old kid that's just glomming onto this like it's second
And he'll
nature.
drop down to
And
one
if
over
I
for
don't
the
know it,
event.
he's going to kick my ass. Or she's going to kick my
Unfortunately,
ass.
back
And if I do
They're
know
coming.
it,
but
I'm going
surely
to
on
kick their
that
ass,
leaderboard,
right?
Luke.
Summer is
The
when the
eighth
world
hole
slows
is a
down
par
just
five, the
enough for
second
you to
on
get
the outward
focused.
half,
And for
one
me,
of the
that's when
players are
some
gonna
of my
wanna try and take
best
advantage
ideas
of.
have taken
They
shape.
certainly do.
Whether you're
Most
refining
players
products,
should be able
preparing
to
for peak
reach
season,
into.
or leveling up
However,
your brand,
finding
Shopify
this
helps
green
make
and
it
keeping
seamless.
it there is
I love
another
that I
thing.
can
There
manage
are
everything
zero
from fulfillment
flat
to product
spots
drops
on this green.
on the
To
go,
make
no
birdie,
matter where
you're
I
going to
am.
have to have
The
a
business keeps
really
moving
sharp
with
short
me.
game.
We run Skims and
Do you
Good
like the
American on
view from where
Shopify.
you're standing,
It's helped
Henny?
us
Down
build,
there,
scale, and grow with
346.
unbelievable ease.
155.
And I'm not
Justin.
just saying that. I can open up the app right now and
Thank
see
you.
who's shopping, what's trending, and where people are buying from all around the world, no matter where I am. Whether you're testing a new idea or building the next big thing, Shopify is where you start. Visit shopify.com/aspire to launch your brand. This is your sign. Start your entrepreneurial journey right now with shopify.com/aspire. My entire
Great.
feed
Sure that
lately
one's
has been a
headed left.
mashup of different wellness trends. 1 minute
he's
it's
not
red
hit
light
the mark on that
therapy,
approach.
magically curing
And
everything. The next
another
it's taking
missed
olive oil
green
shots
in
before breakfast, like
regulation.
that's
My,
normal.
oh
And
my,
apparently
this has been
cottage
a
cheese is now
long
a
day.
full-blown nutrition plan. Honestly, I say leave it to a professional. When it comes to my health, I want real advice from actual doctors, not TikTok. That's where ZocDoc comes in. It's a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality, in-network doctors and instantly book an appointment. We're talking more than 100,000 doctors across every speciality: mental health, dental, primary care, you
Ooh,
name
this might be a
it.
hole.
There's no doubt that you'll enjoy ZocDoc.
This
You can
is a
filter for
bogey putt coming
providers who
up.
take your insurance, are nearby, and come highly rated by
Yeah, well
verified
hold.
patients.
Let's move on to
Once
the
you
next.
find the right doc,
Yeah, making
just
one
click
bad
to book.
mistake with another,
Most appointments
compounding it,
happen in
not good.
24 to 72
Sitting
hours,
at
some
2 over
even same
for the
day.
event.
Stop putting
Moving
off
down
those
the
doctor's
leaderboard,
appointments and
Luke,
go to
never a good thing.
ZocDoc.com/aspire to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com, ZocDoc.com/aspire. ZocDoc.com/aspire. I used to think making amazing and healthy meals at home meant spending a ton of money, or even worse, a ton of time in the kitchen, which can be difficult when you're juggling work and being a mum to 4. But every plate proved me wrong. Their meals are not only quick and easy, but they also taste so good. I just made their crispy buffalo ranch chicken with roasted potatoes, and it honestly tasted like something I'd order out, except it cost way less, and I made it in under 30 minutes.
This one's headed right,
Every
Rich.
plate makes it easy to switch things
That
up
was
with
a
a
little bit of a
rotating menu
misfire, I'd say.
of delicious
Story of the
recipes
day
like
for this
cheesy
player is just
Mexican
missed too many
street corn
greens.
hash
Can't
or
afford to do
sweet
that.
soy chicken stir fry. The instructions are clear, everything shows up right at your door, and you end up spending less than you would on your normal grocery haul or a single takeout order. Every plate is the easiest way to up your dinner game without blowing your budget. What are you waiting for? Dig into these flavor-packed meals your household will love. New customers can enjoy this special offer of
makes
only
this,
$1.99
he'll
a
save his
meal.
pa.
Go to
All right,
everyplate.com
Henny.
/podcast
What's he got in front of him
and
here
use
with this
Emma
putt?
This is a
199 to get
12-footer
started.
here.
Applied as a discount on the first box, limited time only.
I want to talk about broadcast.com. Obviously, it was an early internet radio startup, which feels like a total oxymoron now. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it was
early
the first
internet
streaming-
radio startup.
It was the first streaming company, period.
But that was a massive turning
Starting
point
this
for
one
you.
out.
in your
yeah,
business
obviously.
life,
Oh,
career.
yeah. Like, you know, my buddy Todd Wagner from Indiana,
bogey
we were
putt
having
awaits.
lunch at California Pizza Kitchen, and he was like, "There's got to be a way we can listen to Indiana basketball down here in Dallas."
In she
because
goes.
at the time,
Always
Let's
sold
head to
it
the
for
next.
sports smart.
yeah, right, yeah. Because at the time, somebody in Bloomington, Indiana, had
Our
to
current
put
leader
a
is
radio
enjoying
next
a
to a
one-shot
speakerphone
lead.
in their office, and then we would have a speakerphone down in Dallas, and that's how we listened to
No
games.
way it was not.
Yes, you know, and now the internet was happening, and Mr. Geek here was like, okay, I know what networking's all about because that's what Micro Solutions did. Let me figure something out, because if it works, you know, there's no distance, there's no time. You can watch anything or listen to anything anywhere. So we started as a company called AudioNet in 1995. And nobody, back then we
So
called it
the
internet
opening
broadcast.
round in the
And
books,
nobody
Rich.
was
Impressed
streaming.
with your efforts here in the
Nobody.
booth. Thanks for your
And
time.
we're like, oh,
You bet, Luke.
shit, okay,
One round down,
let's see what
3
we
to
can
go.
do. So I went to
Let's
a
see
local
how
radio
this thing
station,
progresses.
KLIF, and literally
Well,
we
that just about concludes
connected
our coverage.
a
I'm
8-hour
Luke Elvey,
VCR
on behalf of Rich
to
Bean,
their
plus all the
board,
hard-working
right,
folks
and took the
at HB
output of the
Studios.
radio
It's good
and
night for now.
recorded it on 8-hour VCR tapes, took it back to my house, encoded it, put it on our website, audionet.com, and I would go on all these forums and Prodigy and CompuServe and the internet, and I would say, hey, if you live in Dallas and if you're from Dallas and you want to know about Dallas sports and Dallas news, you have to do all these 5 steps, but then you can do it. And then first day, 10 people, next day 100 people, next month 1,000 people, and then we started adding more and more radio stations, and then probably 6 months later we were able to
Plus
do
3
live.
is
Did you
crazy.
know
We're
that
gonna
that
have
was
to go
gonna change
ahead
your
and
life? Were you
Yes.
like,
go
this
to
is the
amateur
beginning?
for a
Yes, 'cause I
second. I
remember having
clearly
a
ain't
meeting
picked
with
these
everybody
sticks up in
and
a
saying,
minute.
if this works the way I think it'll work, this company's worth $5 billion.
Knew that.
Without any doubt in my mind, because it changed everything. And everybody thought I was a moron, right? Dude, we'll turn on the television.
Yeah.
Dude, I'll just have to turn on the radio. But I'm like, in an office, you can't just do that. Like, there's no televisions here. There's no radios. Well, it's different now, but
2K
back then there
Sports in
weren't. So it was the only
association
media
with the
device on your
PGA
desktop.
Tour.
And they had more
Presents
bandwidth.
the
So, like,
season-long race
people
for
would
the
listen
FedEx
to
Cup.
Cubs games.
Time
People
now
would
for
listen
the
to
second round
soccer.
of the day.
Check,
football,
check,
football,
check, check,
football,
check,
like,
check,
it was the
check.
only way to get it. And back then the laws were different. So I could just walk into
Our leader is currently
Best
2 under
Buy
par as the
and
action
buy
gets underway on
200
2K
CDs
Sports.
and encode them and just put it on our jukebox, and people could listen to everything. We had, 400 plus radio stations. We played Christmas music on loops all year long. I mean, just all the stuff that you see on Spotify.
Yeah.
And then we got to video, all the stuff you see on YouTube. We were doing in 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, until we sold to Yahoo in 2000.
We head down
Which
to the
is
4th hole.
insane.
Insane.
I mean, the idea that you sold that company to Yahoo for how much?
$5.7 billion.
So you were
stock.
right. This is worth $5 billion. It really was.
It turned out, yeah.
You're like, ching.
Yeah,
Amazing. Did you have a bunch of partners at that point?
Bounce
So
over.
we had gone public.
Right.
And so we went public in
Bounce
July
over
of
there.
1998.
Thank you.
And at the time, the broadcast.com
Jeez.
IPO was the biggest first day leap in the history of the stock market,
Wow.
which was so cool.
That's
John,
so
talk
cool.
to us. What do you
'Cause,
got for us?
The minute
Hey guys,
we
I'm
went
down here
public,
checking out
and then
Rose
the
Zhang
stock
as she
market
gets
closed,
set for her
and
next
it
shot
went
here on
from
the 10th.
$18 up to 72, and then finished at 62.75.
If this is up,
And
it
all of a
could
sudden,
be
like, I was
Mm.
worth $300 million.
Okay.
So we went straight to a bar, and we turned on. Oh yeah,
Pretty
and
sweet.
so
And
we had them turn
what's he
on
looking at here?
like
This
CNN
is
and all
down
the
breeze, so it's
networks.
gonna be
And every
tough
time
to
they
stop
mentioned
it on the
broadcast.com and the IPO, we took a shot. and we
You
couldn't
were
see. Yeah.
smashed.
Oh my God. I was
Completely smashed.
And then we had to get back to work the next day because, like I told everybody,
Yeah, well, you got to
like,
keep that stock price rising, for
right.
sure.
All these people trusted us. You
Amazing.
know, they put their hard-earned money, and it worked out. Yeah.
So take me inside that Yahoo deal. Like, what did you learn? What did it teach you?
Well, there's a bunch of pieces there, right? We brought them in as an investor
Going with
for
the
only $1
800,
million,
yeah.
like right after the IPO.
$1 million.
Yeah, but that was a
it.
tiny, it was a tiny
Okay.
smidgen for the company. But
It's a
we
bit
wanted
great up and down.
access to the Yahoo website, and we just wanted the connection.
So that was like a valuable part. It wasn't necessarily about the finance.
No,
piece
it wasn't a
of it. It was
financial
like
investor. It's a strategic.
strategic.
Yeah, and so they were strategic investors.
Oh my
And
goodness.
then all
It's
of a
gonna
sudden,
fall off
you
the
know, 'cause
back,
our-
bro.
You know, people that they just did internet radio. No, like, we invented all these things that were different.
Sitting
and
at
I wish I'd
3
gotten
over.
patents. Yeah, it just kills me because it's so funny because
That
I
hurt.
posted it on social. I found an old letter that our patent attorney had written, said, "Here's all the patents you could apply for." And back then I'm like, "We're too busy. We're getting ready to sell the company," and like everything that happens,
Which is so
online.
crazy because whenever I hear this story about you, like you only think about the success. You only think about, well, you built this company, tied these
It
things
would have been
together,
worth.
saw things nobody else saw.
told me it probably is worth $10 trillion. Like the whole.
Does that haunt you? Does that bother you at all?
Because I'm really well off, so I'm okay.
You're like, I'm good.
There's a lot of shit I've missed along the way that I have more money, but I'm good.
You're good.
In some respects, it pisses me off because people just think it was internet radio.
Yeah.
Right. And if I'd gotten
Well, yeah,
all
you
this
don't
back-
get the credit that you should have for everything that came out of that
Yeah, we
company.
started the whole thing. I mean, like literally, if Yahoo hadn't screwed it up, there'd be no Spotify, there'd be no YouTube.
But Mark, was it really about the time, like you not being able to actually like go out and get those patents, or did you actually understand what you were creating at that point?
I
and
knew
the value?
exactly what
You
we
did.
were creating and the value.
But you
for
just
sure.
couldn't go
'Cause
out
we
and
were
do it.
different than everybody else. We were kicking everybody's ass. I mean, we were a top 10 website, literally. Yeah, I mean, we had millions of users, millions of people were streaming. Like, you know, we were, doing video online that nobody else could do or had done. It was fun.
And how big was the company? How many people at that point?
330.
Yeah, but you have to focus, right? Even with 300 people, it's like you've got your things that you're trying to achieve,
Yeah.
and you have to focus and double down on those things. You didn't have time to go out and think
No,
about
it wasn't about all the
ancillary
esoteric stuff. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It was like we have to win. It's a competitive business, and so we have to stay focused on being the best streamer. Whatever the type of content. But things like inserted ads, things like pop-up video ads in front of content, all these things that people do today. We were doing, and it's been 30 fucking years. It's insane.
It actually is insane to even think about. So you actually, like, there's so much of what we take for granted now that you guys just invented at that point.
Yeah.
I can't even believe that. I wonder, so when you get this Yahoo deal, did it turn out as you had expected?
No, I mean, so two pieces. One, we sold in stock, right, which is not cash, as you know. And so
No, it's not.
No, it's not. Because back then in the internet stock market,
this
stocks
is
went up, stocks
tracking.
went down, stocks
It's
went up.
tracking.
And
Come
I'm like,
on.
I'm a billionaire.
And that
I
puddle
like
drop.
it.
Well done.
And I don't want to risk
Justin
it.
Rose
I don't
currently
need
in
more
the
money. I
lead
need
as
to
we
protect
check
what I
the
got.
rest of the standings.
And
Right.
so I did this thing called a collar, where I sold
As we head
out of the
now
money
to the par
calls
five
on the
next.
stock that we got from Yahoo on Yahoo stock, and I bought puts to protect the downside from the money I got from selling.
Okay,
puts.
explain that really slowly for us that might not understand
Okay.
it.
So a share
the
of
collar,
stock.
yeah, okay.
Share of stock.
Gotta say,
We got Yahoo
just
stock.
some of the best
And
rhythm in
we
the
sold
game.
what is known
Yeah.
as calls. Call on a share of
Chase
stock
it down
gives
there.
somebody
Second
that you
shot
sell it
here
to
on the
the
fifth.
right to buy that share of stock at whatever the price.
Like a
would be.
predetermined price
A
down the
predetermined
road.
price. So if Yahoo stock was 100 and I sold it, you can buy this at 120, and you pay me some amount of money for that. That's selling a call. Then I took that money and I bought a put, which is the opposite side. It protects the downside. It says if Yahoo stock
smart
falls,
ass over there.
oh yeah. So if Yahoo stock
Oh,
falls
no.
below the level I bought
be
the 100,
protected.
you have to buy it from
The
me at
players
that
left
price.
with an
You know,
opportunity
and I'm like,
to
Yeah.
get up and down here from the
You're
centre.
such a clever
crashed.
dick.
Yeah, it crashed.
Of
And I
course
actually-
it crashed.
Yeah,
This is
the
it.
whole internet
Wow,
stock
yes.
bubble burst, and so I actually ended up making some more money of that. So that was part one. That worked out fine. But then Yahoo, when that internet stock bubble burst,
Oh, that's a
Yahoo's
quality
board
shot
of
from out of the
directors
sand.
just
that should
freaked
set
out
up
because their
an
stock
easy
Birdie?
save.
hundreds
Birdie?
to
This
Yeah.
one's for birdie.
tens, you know, or less.
Need
And
that.
they're like, okay, we got to cut expenses, and so the streaming side was, you know, huge mistake. but
Catch
that's
up with Max
part of it.
Homer.
Talk to me about
Oh,
your
look at
relationship
how
to money
soft
as a
and
founder,
subtle
because
those hands
I
are.
just feel like a founder's
Let's
journey
take a
is
look at
so
the
uneven.
leaderboard
It's like
as
you've got
it
nothing, you've got
stands.
nothing, you've got nothing. Then hopefully you get
As we go to
something,
the next,
and maybe it's
our
too
leader
much,
is
and you don't know what to
ahead
do with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question.
Always positive coming off a birdie.
Like my
Let's see
attitude
what
is,
happens here.
if you're happy when you're
Again,
broke,
runoff areas
you'll be
both
happy
left
when you're rich.
and right
If
into
you were
some
miserable when
pretty
you were broke,
deep
there's
bunkers.
no
Finding
amount
the
of money
green
that's
and
going to change
regulation
you from being
is
miserable.
going to be
And
key.
so, you know, when I was sleeping on the floor,
Show me
I
some.
was having fun. You know,
You
I
strike me
Lovely
as the
rhythm
type of
there,
guy that was
Rich. That's going to
broken
work
happy.
every
yes,
time.
I was. I
You're
wasn't
just
happy to be
happier
broke.
now.
Yeah, I
You're
wasn't
on the
happy to be
green.
That's
broke,
different.
right? But I was going to have fun.
We
no
on the
matter what.
green.
And
Lining
so,
up here from
you
a
know, when I
long
sold
way
Micro
away.
Solutions, I ended up
Penny,
with like $2
take
million.
us through the break on this
and
one.
I was 29
It's just gonna
years old, give or take.
cruise up to
And
the
so
left-hand
I bought a
side.
lifetime pass on American Airlines for $125,000.
It's a great deal.
Oh my God.
It's a great
And
deal.
my only mission, because in my mind, I was retired. And my only mission
At 29.
At 29, yeah. My only mission in life was to party like a rock star. Because I only had to do, I had this card that I could walk up
Oh
to
my,
American
are you
Airlines
serious
and just
right
show it.
now?
And I was actually living in LA, not far from here. And I was like, okay, I'd go out to the clubs and find a new friend.
You're
Let's
like,
go to
"We're going
Vegas.
off."
Let's go to Vegas. Let's go to London. Let's go wherever.
And you used it?
Oh,
Did you get your
fuck yeah, I
money's
did.
worth out of that
Oh,
125?
yes.
They ain't gonna let me chip.
Please tell me you can't just still use that now.
I
I
would
could, but
rather
I gave
chip
I gave it
than
to my
putt
dad, and when my dad
this.
passed, I gave it to a friend.
Oh my.
Oh, that's so
Zero.
lovely.
Okay.
That's so you,
Yeah.
Mark,
Need to
to
go
do that.
like
But I'm sure you got your use
three
out
and
of
a
it
half.
in the interim.
3.5.
So,
right.
back to the money. So you get $2 million when you're
So
about
hit the
29. The next big chunk of money
three.
doesn't come until
One,
you've
two.
sold.
Well, no, not right.
Three,
So,
right.
so I took that $2 million, and initially I told
And
my
then
stockbroker, who was a buddy of mine,
I don't
I
wanna
want
go
you to
longer.
invest like a 60-year-old. I want you to put it in
Alright, on
bonds
this
because I want to
side.
live off of this. Interest rates
More
are high.
right.
I want to live off of this for a while. Right?
You had a sense, though, that $2 million you'd kind of made it at that point?
Well, yes.
Or you knew
because-
you were going to make
No,
loads
I
more money in
didn't.
your
I
mind?
didn't. I was willing to live like a student for a long time.
Wow.
But what came
That's
along
well
was I
judged.
talked to
Good
my
speed,
broker,
good line.
and he would ask me all these
I'll-
questions about
I'll
stuff I
take
did
that.
because of Micro
Remaining to the
Solutions.
cup.
And then
I'll
I'd see
take
these
that all
people
day.
who worked, it was Goldman Sachs, worked for Goldman Sachs, go
I'll
on
take that all
CNBC
day.
or whatever it was back then,
Two
and say
putts.
exactly what I said, and the stock would go up or down.
What's
And
the
my
cut?
buddy was like, you know
cut
this
is
stuff better than our
+3.
guys
Alright,
do.
I
You
just
should be
need to
buying and selling these
stay
stocks.
right here.
So I'm like, okay, I will. And I just crushed it. I mean, crushed it. I turned that $2 million.
The Englishman
I don't even
Justin
know what it
Rose,
ended up
currently
being,
leading this
15,
tournament,
20
playing
million,
nicely on
right?
top.
And it was just like, okay. And then we started broadcast, and that
Here we are at the
allowed me
par
to keep
4,
going.
7th hole.
How do you
Yes,
think
dog
that
leg
your
from left to
relationship
right.
with money
The longer they
shaped
hit her,
your
the more
early
of that
decisions
dog
as
leg they will
entrepreneur?
cut off,
Oh, 100%,
reducing the whole
right? I mean, I was that kid
size,
that drove around and
which
looked
would
at
be
the big
helpful
houses and
because you
listened
get
to
to go into
motivational
this
tapes in the
raised
car.
green with such a
Yeah,
short
exactly.
I used to drive around looking at all the big
Yeah,
houses.
yes,
and that was
swing.
such
Sure.
a thing for me.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. I'm like, what do these people do? Right?
Yes.
How did they get there? What is it that they have that
This
I
is a
don't? What is
touch
their
of
motivation?
deja vu, isn't
And that
it?
was my
Taking this
motivation.
approach on from
And
the
so
same
I
spot.
always wanted
Hopefully
to
it's
make
not
more
deja
money,
vu
but I always
all
wanted to use
over
my
again
time.
as he missed the green yesterday.
Right, time was the most
All right,
valuable
chill.
asset. That's kind of what my dad and my parents taught me, because
Chill.
you know, if you're grinding the same job and not really making money, my dad never made more than $40,000 in his life, and you're stuck. You can live a great life. It's not
Ooh,
like
that
you
went
can't really
crazy.
enjoy your life and have a great family like we did.
No way.
But
Okay.
there were
We on.
And
things we
let's take a
couldn't
look
do.
at this shot
You know,
from moments
That
ago.
one's
You know
crazy.
that, hey Dad,
This
can we
was
do
her
this or
third.
can I? No,
No, sorry.
no, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And you get a job and you can do it. And so
Well, that's full of
I
class
wanted
by
to
the young
really
gun, Rose
value
Zhang.
my time first.
Okay,
And
let's get back
then
to it, shall we?
As
Well,
I
this would be a
started
bonus.
earning more
This is a
money,
very long
and then
putt.
it was like, okay,
John, what's the line
what
on
is
this
it that I
putt?
can
I think
use
this
this
one
for?
is gonna
And it
be
was like,
breaking
have
hard to
fun,
the left.
And then,
Sure.
but it was still like, okay, I need to save this forevermore. And then when we hit it with the billions, then everything changed, because it was like, okay, what will change my life immediately? So it was like I bought a house, sight unseen. It was a $25 million house.
No,
I'm
you
just-
didn't.
Honestly,
Who spends $25 million?
I didn't spend 25. So what the deal was a guy
Of course
worked
you
for-
didn't. You did a deal.
I did a deal, right?
You're always
So this
doing a deal.
guy, damn, how I remember this dude's name, I don't know, right? But he owned this company, he never sold a share of stock. It was a public company, never sold a share of stock. and then the company cratered. And so
This
he
one's
spent
come
3
out on a
years
good
and
line.
$25 million building this house, more than 3 years, lived there 8 months.
Not a
And
bad
my
effort
friend
right there
said,
from long
"Look,
range.
it's going to go to
putt. He
bankruptcy and you can
just
get it
didn't
for $12
quite
million.
read it right,
And
but
he
it'd be
showed
an
me a
easy
picture.
par.
I'm like,
Just gotta sneak some
done.
birdies
Done.
on
Done.
No,
back
you
two
don't live in
holes.
that
I
house.
live in that same house 25
Get
years
out of
later,
it.
27
This hole
years
here
later.
is
What a
a par.
fantastic
Or
investment.
switch.
That was your house. That was your
That was
meant
my
to
My last
be.
That
hole
was
here.
because
They
that's what
want
it was
to
just
keep it on this green.
I'm
You're
amazing.
gonna need a
house,
little bit of luck
Like,
here because
literally
this
until I
green,
got married
no
and had
bunkers
kids,
surrounding it, but
there were
there
rooms
are
I'd never been
very
in.
few flat spots around it.
There's still
You wanna
rooms.
make
You couldn't even
birdie,
make your way
you better
around
have
it.
a
There's
keen
still
short
rooms.
That
game.
says a lot about you and who you are, though, because I feel like you are just so comfortable in who you are that once you've got your thing, that's it. You're just going to stay and stick
Yeah,
with
it was just like, it's like,
And that's
until I got
just
married, I had no
sneaked into the
furniture. I had like
second
one
cut of
couch
rough.
and a big screen TV,
set
and it
up
was
for
so
his
big.
second
Like
shot.
we would play
Wind
football
moving
and
right to
wiffle
left on
ball
this
like
shot.
in the ballroom, and I literally
lot of
had
right
a
to
basketball hoop in the ballroom of the house, and so I could just get some shots up. It was
That's
like
amazing.
It was so much fun.
Looking for a better way to refresh your summer wardrobe? Daily Look is the #1 highest
Ooh, that's
rated
coming in
premium
so
personal
fast.
styling service for women. Daily Look connects
that
you
was
with
a
your
bit of a
own
misfire.
dedicated personal
Hard to control the
stylist, a
distance
real
when it's coming
stylist,
out of the
not an
rough.
algorithm, who curates
This would be
a
a
box
great
of
up
up
and
to
down.
12 premium pieces based on your body shape, preferences, and lifestyle. Try everything on in the comfort of your own home. Keep what you love and return the rest. Shipping is free both ways. With flexible delivery options, you can receive a box every 30, 60, or 90 days, making it easy to fit your wardrobe refresh into your schedule. Daily Look saves time, takes the
No way.
guesswork out of shopping,
No way.
and offers a
Oh
truly
my-
personalized experience with the same stylist every time. Elevate your style by signing up at dailylook.com today. Take your style quiz at dailylook.com and get 50% off
I
your
gonna miss the
first styling
cut, bro.
fee with the code ASPIRE. That's dailylook.com, code ASPIRE. With my busy work and travel schedule, I've recently found myself hitting a wall. Not a massive crash,
this in.
just a slow, steady fade. Less energy, more brain fog, and I just couldn't
that
figure
almost
out
went in the
why.
hole.
That's when I chose
Good
Function.
opportunity here,
It's the
just 6
only
feet
health
to the hole.
platform that gives you access to the
for a
kind of
bogey.
data most people never see, and the insights to actually take action. With Function,
Tough.
you can test over 160 biomarkers.
Make the cut
from
line
hormones
B+4,
and heart health,
bro.
toxins, inflation, and stress. You can
Make
even
the
add
cut line.
MRI
6
and
shots
CT
on that
scans, all tracked in one secure place over time. It's a near 360-degree view of your body, and that's why experts like Dr. Mark Hyman, Dr. Andrew Huberman, and Dr. Jeremy London stand behind Function Health. This time of year can look bright and busy on the outside, but inside, so many of us are running on fumes. Function helps put a name to what you're feeling. Low testosterone or DHEAS might be draining
Okay.
your drive. Cortisol could be throwing off your mood, and if your vitamin D or magnesium is low, your immune and nervous systems are taking a hit too. The symptoms are real, and now so are the answers. Learn more and join using our link. The first 1,000 get a $100 credit towards their membership. Visit
I have
functionhealth.com/aspire
a
or
plus
use
3
gift
first
code
round. It's
ASPIRE100 at
There you
sign
have
up
it.
to
I'll
own
be
your
pleased
health.
with that, just sneaking through the
If
cut
you're
line.
always on the go like
Absolutely,
me,
always out
making
there fighting,
wellness
trying
a
to make
daily
the
habit
cut.
can be
Doesn't
difficult.
really have the ball
But
striking
thanks to
this week.
Symbiotica,
However,
they
there's
make
still a
this
chance
daily
you can
habit
win this
that
tournament. You
much
gotta have a good
easier
round
with
tomorrow
on-the-go,
and certainly follow it up
high-quality,
Sunday. But
science-backed
listen, there's
supplements
still a
that
chance.
support your mind and body from the inside
Well,
out.
that'll just about do it.
Standout
On
products
behalf of
include
Rich B, I'm Louis
magnesium
Gelvin. Thanks for tuning
L-threonate,
in.
designed
Look forward
to
to your
enhance
company
focus,
next time.
reduce brain fog, and support restful sleep. Their liposomal glutathione supports glowing skin, gut health, and healthy aging, while the Shilajit liquid complex is known to help boost cellular energy and cognitive function.
You know
Every
what
product
time
is
it
thoughtfully
is.
formulated, with several, including the glutathione and
know
vitamin
what
C,
they go
using
crazy with these little
liposomal
ads
delivery
on her
for faster
podcast.
nutrient absorption. If you've been looking for effective support for energy focus, mood, or skin health, this is a great place to
going
start.
crazy with
It's one
these
of those
ads on
small
her
things that can help you
podcast.
feel more like you again. Go to symbiotica.com/aspire for 20% off plus free shipping. That's symbiotica.com/aspire for 20% off plus free shipping.
I think the audience that I have really wants to understand, how do you get started, right? Like if you have an idea or if you've got something that you believe in strongly, like how do you just
PGA
get out of the
Sports
gate?
and
I
the
think
PGA
that
Tour are
really what I
delighted
want
to
to ask
bring
you
you the
is almost
season-long
what
race
matters more.
for
Is
the
it the
FedEx Cup.
idea or
It's
is
moving
it
day at
how
the
you
Daybreak Classic,
execute something?
and we're ready
So
to bring
if
you
you
all
would
of
have
the
asked me this
action.
question 6
Luke
months
over
ago,
here, welcome
I would
back.
give
We're
you a
delighted you've
completely
joined
Well, I'm
us
so glad I
as
got
we
you
begin
now.
Yeah,
today's
right?
coverage. Our featured
Because of
player
AI.
is sitting at 4 over
Like
for the
literally
tournament.
this morning,
Let's
I
go
got a
down
question
and
from
see
a
what's
kid in high
happening
school,
at
and
the
I get so many emails, and every now and then
You
he
are
said,
unbelievable at answering
well,
emails.
with somebody I like, right, I'm going to respond immediately. But
Thanks.
like every now and then, I'll be okay. It's from a kid. Let's see what the question is, right? And he said, well, same question. How do you get started? And I was like, okay, first
Looks
thing you have to
Tiffy
do
going with
is
the
learn
6
AI.
iron.
You have, whether it's ChatGPT,
Yeah, nicely played.
Gemini, Perplexity, Claude.
And this putt
you've
to
got
move
to
into the top
spend
20.
Tons and tons and tons.
John, have
of
you got a
time
read on this one?
just
What's it
learning
gotta
how it
do?
works and how to ask the
think
question.
Is that
This
what
one's
you're
gonna go
doing at the
right
moment?
to
You're
left.
spending
Yes.
time. So
Yes.
talk me through that. What does that look like? If you're a founder right now and you want to just learn AI, what are you doing?
Just asking the questions
Just asking it
and
questions.
trying everything
is a
that comes
good
out that's
chance.
new. There's so it's like the early days when I first got started. Every day there was a new technology. Every day there was new software. Every day the
it's a
PCs and
one-stroke
the networks were
par
getting
for our
faster,
leader over
and
the field.
bandwidth was getting faster. So it was just a
Fortune
constant. Oh my
favours the
god! Oh my
brave.
god! And AI is
Plenty
the
of
same
bravery
right
here.
now.
What do you
Out
say
comes
to
the
someone who
driver.
says, yeah, but
Straightaway
I
par
don't like
five,
AI. I
Luke.
don't want any more
Most
technology in my
players
life.
not
Like,
able
what
to
is
reach
the
into.
answer?
Second shot, you
Basically.
must lay up to a
That's it. It's
really
like, do
good
the job.
number
Yeah,
where you can
that's like saying I don't,
maximize
back in
spin
the day,
with
people,
your
I don't
wedges
use
in order to
PC.
control the
I don't
spin
need to use the
for your
internet.
third and
I don't need a
hopefully
cell phone.
get it close
You
and
know,
make a birdie.
Wi-Fi.
And those businesses
Second
died.
shot here
Done.
on the 10th hole.
And there's so many examples of that, right? Brands that just didn't transition, didn't update, didn't do what they needed to do, and they
didn't
died a
grab
death.
onto the internet,
Yeah.
didn't figure out, it's just like all the stuff you have to learn, right? For Great American Skims. right?
Yes.
It's never ending. It's a never ending competition. And now your business is harder than it's ever been.
The hardest, and changes every day.
Every millisecond. If you saw the stuff that came from Google, right? Where people are just typing in things and creating like
Claire,
great
slow
content.
down.
Unreal.
No.
I mean,
This
I was at the
person
Google
displays
Summit
the power
last
game
week
in
where they
pure
were
So they showed
launching,
you all this, right?
I mean,
Using
it
the
they
big
was,
wanted you to
muscles
see
get
all
over to
this.
there.
you can't
And
even
Henny, what's he
fathom
looking
that
at
what
for
you're
this
looking
putt?
at
This
isn't
one's
real.
about
I'm like, wait a minute, what is so good
33
about this?
feet
And they're
from
like,
the
Yeah, it's not
none
like they
of
have
this
5,
exists.
6
No.
fingers anymore. It is like
Crazy.
the realest stuff
Yes.
ever. Now, the good news, so there's multiple parts to all this, right? If you're an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, and you start playing with it to get a sense of how it works, how to prompt, it becomes like a mentor. It becomes like having, an entire staff of 1,000 business professors.
That's how you're thinking about it.
Yeah, because you still have to be smart to do it. Like,
Ooh, looking for a
if
big
you would say
bendy
to me,
putt from the
Mark,
right.
I need a commercial for Skims. Like, I know how to use all
just
the
right
technology.
past
I can
the
type in
hole.
prompts, but I don't have the
He hasn't
creative
managed to
side.
birdie this hole.
I
this
don't
tournament.
know, like, okay, if you're using a 35 millimeter
work here
camera
is
and this
done.
type of light,
Let's head to the
you need
next
this
hole.
type of
Back-to-back
aperture, and you need
birdies
this
never
type of
hurt, Rich.
angle,
Gotta like
and
it.
you
He's
need
feeling
to,
it.
you want these.
And as
So
we
like
move along,
nuance of
it's Justin
expertise is still
Rose
really
on top.
important.
More important.
And the
Number
more you're giving
11 is
AI,
a
the more
par
you're
four.
getting out of it,
Right.
right? Like that's
Driver
my
not
limited
really
understanding. It's
necessary
as
off
good as
this
what
hole.
you give
You
it.
just need
Correct.
to make sure
Now,
you
it's gonna
find
come
the
up with stuff
fairway.
that you
From
couldn't
there,
even
you've got
fathom.
2
It's that
bunkers on the
good.
left of the
And
green protecting
it's the
wayward
ultimate
shots,
time
and a
hack.
third
Because
back right.
now,
This
okay,
is
edit that
another
together. Let's see what
solid
it looks like.
hole.
And then you look at the
That's a tad
dailies and you're like,
disappointing,
okay,
isn't
that
it?
looks good. Okay,
This is
let's
his second
shoot a little
shot.
bit more and see what we get.
Just 3 strokes
Now
back.
you don't got to shoot shit,
You ain't got to do anything.
right?
Yeah.
But you still got to be able to know how to edit it.
Yes.
You still got to know how to tell a story, and your ability to tell a story now changes dramatically. So before it'd be like, okay, here's my 15-second, here's my 30s, here's my 60s, right? Maybe we'll do something long form. We'll see, because on TikTok people like this or don't like that, and let's see where the fit is and what the algorithm supports. Now you just crank out 50 different things in 6 minutes, and then you get to ABC test it and see or run it
that
through.
one's
But you
absolutely
still need to
stiff.
have qualified
This would be a
people
momentum
to say,
saver here,
"That's
getting
good,
this up and down."
That's not.
So it's no substitute for actual humans, but you're just like, it's much less. So you're thinking about AI as in that this is a replacement for some level of creative
this
output, for
is
some
good.
level of the number of
Man,
staff
just a
that
little
you
bit of
might need.
clean-up
So it's
work
almost
remaining
like
on this hole.
shrinking everything
Yeah,
that
I
you
mean,
did at the
it's
Justin
beginning.
no
Rose
different
finds
than
himself
like
back on top of the
CGI has
leaderboard.
changed over the last 30 years.
Let's see what happens here at the
using
12th.
digital. You went from
And after par
analog
at the
cameras
last,
to digital
a chance to
cameras,
perhaps
so you
signal
can
some
use your
intent.
phone and it's 4K, and then it'll be 8K, right? So there's things that you don't do now that you did 5 years ago to create content. And so it's just one more move forward. But for starting a business, like you can say,
That is right down
okay,
the
here's what I
sprinkler
want to
line.
do. I have this idea where I want to sell these cups that say Aspire
And Henny,
by
what's he
Emma Green. I want
facing
to do a
with this
business
one?
around this.
He's
Write
got,
me a business plan.
I'd say
And then
a
you get
solid
it in
145 here.
and you say, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, update this. Okay. All right, now that you've read my business plan, ChatGPT or Gemini, put together a website, design, boom. A
Going
minute
with the
later,
pitching
you're looking
wedge
at
here.
the first proof of your website.
Some
I mean,
nice
to me
calculations
right
there
now,
with this wind.
there's no better time
A fair bit
to
on the line
be
here.
a
Spot
startup
the top
entrepreneur
5.
because you have an expert in your pocket. You go to ChatGPT or whatever, Gemini, and just ask it.
But I love that this stage of your
Just
journey,
2
Mark,
shots back
you
after
are
that hole.
using that. Like as
Yeah.
accomplished as you are, as successful as
Now
you
on
are,
the tee after
even
a
you are
birdie,
starting
fired up and ready for
Yeah,
more.
I mean, it's like,
over.
Another one
and
of
it
these
gets weird
par fours
sometimes
where you
too. Like,
gotta
I'm gonna take a
find the
picture of your
fairway
phone, like,
somehow,
what
hit a
app do you
fiddly
have
little
that I
cup with a
don't?
3-wood or a
Oh,
driver.
I've got everything.
Again,
It's all on
second
there.
shot, back up the
Who's
hill to a
teaching you
green
about
that
it?
is
Like, are you just, is it
dome
all
shaped.
self-discovery, or are
You
you
need to
like
make sure that you can leave
engaging
it
with
below the
I
hole
need
here,
a,
if at all
Sam
possible.
Altman on
This green
speed dial?
gets
No,
scary
no,
fast.
just myself.
Okay.
I don't, it's fun, more fun to learn. Okay, I need a business plan for a mug that says Aspire
Well, that one
on it
is
that
looking like
I
it's
want
going
to sell
straight down the pipe. That
through
should set up
Skims.
another chance.
Write me a business
This one
plan
here,
and the
this
best
is for
approach to take it to,
back-to-back
okay?
birdies,
All right,
moving him in
let's
the right
focus.
direction.
First off, the main idea is a sleek, stylish mug branded with the word Aspire, sold in collaboration with Skims, leveraging their brand power and audience. 1. Executive summary. You're launching a premium mug line that
That's
complements
disappointing.
Skims' lifestyle work.
It's just
The
about
mug
3 feet
embodies
away.
motivation and
This
minimalism, aligning
is
with
the
Skims'
path.
aesthetic and
Okay, that's enough for
There
right
he
now.
is,
Just write it
the
up for me
Olympic
and I'll
gold
read it
medalist
later,
Justin
okay?
Rose
Unbelievable.
on top
All
here
of these things
in
that
this
used to
tournament.
take weeks and weeks and weeks, and
And
This has to be
copywriters
one of the
and
more
editors
difficult
and
holes
graphic
in golf.
designers
The
and
long par four.
And
specialists
you're
and
meeting with your
Decisions to
team,
be
you're going through,
made.
what do you
Do you
think, what do you
take
think? And
driver and
everybody's
try
always got to
and
give
fit
their
it
opinion
around
because
that
otherwise
fairway
they don't feel
bunker?
valued,
Or
right?
And that takes time, that takes energy, and that's, yeah.
And
If
so
you take
if you can
driver out, you're
consolidate
gonna
now,
have such
you still
an
need people
easier
who can
second
copyright, but yes,
shot.
but those people
3-wood,
You
a
just
much
need far less.
longer
Right,
shot,
well, it's
but
just
there
you need
is room
fewer,
to bounce
but
this golf ball
maybe not,
into the
right?
screen.
Maybe
Not
you
as
just
severe
but
on
those
the edges as
copywriters
others.
have to learn how to use prompts in AI. And they have to know which AI will take those prompts and give you better output that's suitable for your business.
Oh my
And then
goodness,
the
I did
editors
it.
would be able to take that video that it creates or the script of the video first and know how to
This would be
use
a
it
great up
within
and
an
down
AI
from this
structure
spot.
like VO, which is the video creation, right? And so, because if you don't know how to translate the script into what VO uses, and it's changing every day now, whatever comes next, then
Just a short putt
you
remaining
won't have
here.
a job. But if you have those skills as an editor and a copywriter, and you know how to translate them
And
into
if you look at the
AI,
leaderboard,
so
our
that
player
your
out in
prompts
front
are really,
is
really
leading
good
by
and
one.
quick and efficient, you'll have a job for life.
Of course. So if someone starting a business now needs to learn AI.
All of it.
All
All
of
of
it.
it.
Gobble all the
So,
information up.
Day one, learn everything about AI, and like I told this kid this morning, read books about entrepreneurs because they're still the heart. The AI isn't going to deal with your heart and mind.
And as this round
because
comes to a close,
knowing what the
he finds
grind is,
himself
and
in
the
a
work
share of
and the
second
fear,
place.
because I can get AI to
On
write
behalf of
business
Rich
plan
Bean,
for this
Henny
or anything
Quick,
for that
John
matter,
McCarthy,
but if I'm not
and
willing
Luke
to do the
Elvey
work,
saying so
if I don't
long from
understand
2K
that I might
Sports.
be broke for a long time, if I don't understand that now it's easier for anybody to start a business, so now there's more competition, not less. If I don't understand that, then it doesn't matter what the AI tells me.
Because you read a lot, right?
Yeah, I try to, but now it's all reading about AI.
Yeah. But so, all right, so you want people to read books about entrepreneurs, and what's probably the last thing they need to do?
The last thing is just to experiment. You know, you've got to try stuff that feels uncomfortable. You can ask the AI, how do I build a mold? Where's the best way to build a mold? And even like one of the beauties of AI, it'll help you create molds that'll be more efficient wherever you send it to build your first, prototypes.
We're in a whole new world.
It's
a whole new
literally,
world.
Emma, 2024 might as well say black and white 1920.
What, which to me
Gets set for the
signals
dramatic
so much
season-long
opportunity.
race for the
Oh,
British
well, it
Because when we
changes
start to,
opportunity.
right? But when we start to think about,
At the
okay,
PGA
traditionally
Tour.
the barriers
It's
that
time to
stop
see who will
people
be
from
crowned
starting a
champion here
business,
at the Daybreak Classic.
where they live, where they come from, education level, it's gone. You're saying that's out the window
Oh
now.
yes, as long
Which
as
I
you
love
have
these
that
days.
smartphone
Championships
that
are
can
decided.
download
Has this player got it
ChatGPT
in
and
them
all these
to pull out
things,
the win?
not
Second
even paying up,
place.
right?
That's no
you can
fun.
ask me questions like you have
So
access
close and yet
to
so
me,
far. Let's face it,
you,
second place
the
stinks.
best professors
This
ever.
player
Now,
needs to
it
go
doesn't
out
mean
and
There's
produce
no
something
excuse.
to chase down that
you
leader
may
and
say I
overtake
need
him
money
this final
to do
round.
this, but then you just ask this ChatGPT, how can I do this with no money? What's the best way to start? Like, how can I create a prototype the least expensive way?
Oh,
I
yeah.
know what needs to happen in most businesses, right? Anybody can now ask those
Anybody.
questions.
So given everything that you know, the experience of building multiple companies, the experience of investing in all of these very kind of early stage founders, I guess my question to you is, should or can everyone be a founder? Can anyone be an entrepreneur?
Can they? Yes. Should they? No.
Thank you. That's the end of that. Tell me why. Go on, give me the
Because
reasons.
Let's check in
everybody's
on the
got
play.
ideas.
Out at 15.
In
He's
this
within
country, that's
striking
what makes this
distance
country
of top
different
spot
than
on the
every country
leaderboard.
in the world.
I
Can
say
he
that
clinch
all
the
the time.
championship?
Right? Because in the
We're about
UK,
to
not
find
everybody
out.
thinks I can start a business.
No.
Doesn't cross their mind.
No, absolutely. It's not this. It's woven into the fabric of society in America.
Doesn't matter who
that
the
you can do
president
whatever-
is. Doesn't
no,
matter what
no.
party's in charge.
It's
Doesn't-
doable.
It's doable.
It's doable.
Right? And
This is a good time
this
to get
country,
hot with the
we
tournament
think,
on the line.
I have an idea. And if I have an idea, it could become a business.
Oh,
and then
right by
you go
the
on
hole.
Google, or now you go to ChatGPT.
This is a great
or
opportunity
Gemini,
for him
and you
to
say,
get
"Has this
closer
ever
to
been
the
done
lead."
before?"
I really
You know,
hope
show
this
me
one
anybody
drops
who's
for
done
him.
it and how it's turned out.
And he's down
Oh,
there.
nobody's
You got a
done it
read?
before.
Curling
Write me a
ever
business
so
plan for
gently
this
right to
idea.
left here.
Okay, and 2 seconds later, let me go through it.
Let's
Get in the
continue to build this one.
hole.
Right? But then,
Time
But
for
not
the lead
everybody
now
should
as
do
we
this
head
now.
down the
this
stretch.
line right
Oh,
here.
What
this
is the
getting
line? The
The
interesting.
line,
Luke,
you
who wants
step
it
over that
more?
line, you're in.
And
And
that'll
it
move
means you
into
got to do
even par for the
everything you
tournament.
got to do to
And
be
you
successful.
got to do it.
You got to do it.
You gotta do
right.
it.
It's not like I'll go raise money and I'll hire
No,
people. That's
you gotta
failure
do it.
right there.
Yes.
Right?
16th,
You
a par
got to be the
4.
one to do it, and most people aren't willing to make that commitment.
So who shouldn't be a founder?
Like if you want structure, you should not be a founder. Now you can be anal and deal with details, but if you think, okay, you know, I want my
work
life
there.
to have structure. You
This
know, I
shot
want to work
from
9 to
around the
5.
200
I want to
yard
be a
mark.
founder because I'll have more time
He
to
shares
myself.
the lead.
I'll have.
Funny all of those things, Mark, that you say that.
Am I wrong?
No, you are right. It's just that certain people have the liberty to be able to say those things and other people maybe not so much. But you honestly believe that. It's like if you're looking for structure, if you're looking for familiarity, if you're looking for your days to be
Yeah, like I have
pretty
more
much the
control.
same every day.
Yeah, you don't like you want.
If you're
Tony
looking for
looking shot that.
balance,
Just forget it.
And this has been
Maybe
a
don't do
hole
that.
he's unable
Yeah,
to take
I mean,
advantage
maybe
of
you
so
can
far
make
for
it
this
work
event.
if you have, you know, enough money to work your way through it. You own the finances of your company, but your customers and your employees
And with that,
really
he's now
run your life.
broken the tie, all
You know,
alone at the
and
top
that
of the
doesn't even
leaderboard.
take into account competition.
This
Who
17th
would
hole
work
is a par
24 hours
3.
a day to keep
I
their
cannot look at the
ass.
17th hole and
so
not think
it's-
about
I mean,
the
you know,
shot
and
that
in your
Payne
industry
Stewart
better
hit
than
in there
anybody, right? Because
back in
it is
1999.
nonstop.
It was
Somebody
just
comes in.
glorious.
Somebody comes in. They have
and
an
when
idea.
you stand
oh no,
on that
you know,
TN17,
Emma's wrong.
that's
you know,
the only
she
image
doesn't
that
get the
you
feeling.
want to
That's
have.
not the
Payne
way people
Stewart
buy.
and you have a
swinging,
window in time as well,
bouncing,
right? You're not
finishing
good
it.
forever. Most
It
founders
was
are not
artistry
great. You
at
have
its best.
like musicians, you know, I feel
Well,
like there
that's
are
right
these
out of
like
the top draw.
golden years
Great
where
shot
you're
from our
like
leader.
in it, you're on it, everything's
And you
coming
match,
your
right?
way,
This
and
goes down.
right?
stars align. Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
Right, your
What's he
feel
looking at with
is
this
the
putt?
match
Yeah,
to
he's
what
got
people
just
want.
over 16 feet here.
Music's a great analogy,
Well,
right?
how good
Because
was that?
what was the hit
Nice
yesterday?
birdie.
And today.
Same with cars. Things that
And as we move on
man,
to the
everybody
next,
wants
our
that.
featured
So what are
player
your red
leads by
flags?
4.
Like when you're in a pitch
Was it a par
situation,
4
what are the
18th?
things that to you you're
Blind
just like,
tee
that's a
shot here
no-no?
for
They
these
think there's a
players.
magic
That's the
bullet.
difficulty
That
here.
if they
Just pick a
raise
spot in
money,
the
they can go
distance
hire
and give her a
somebody
whirl.
to do A, B, and
Second
C.
shot,
And that's where I
up
think
the hill
most businesses
slightly,
fail.
but do not miss
Because
it too far
the
right,
founder
or you'll
will
find a
realize
low
they don't have
area
a
for
specific
your
skill
second.
set.
Anything missing up to
or
the
that something's
left-hand
not
side
working that they
could
expect it
kick
to work.
back
I thought
onto
for
the
sure
green,
this would sell. I
and
thought,
dare I
you know,
say,
we're losing
finished with a birdie.
$20,000 a month. If only I had more money for a bigger marketing budget. If only I could hire a marketing person. If only I can hire a salesperson.
Yeah. It's always kicking the can down the road,
Right,
right?
to somebody
Yeah.
else
Yes.
that's going to be some super person that's, you know, magic bullet. No, you've got to do it.
You got to be the bullet.
You've got to be the bullet, right? If you aren't the magic bullet, it's not going to work unless you get lucky.
Have you ever seen anything contrary to that? Like, has there ever been a time where you've met somebody and actually they've defied?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, there's people, you know.
But
you
it's
get the right
rare.
way. It's
Quality
rare.
shot
It's just
like
very, very rare.
Right.
I've heard you
Nothing
say
like
a
a bit
million
of
times that
momentum here,
don't
Rich.
need
This one's
money to
going for
start.
another birdie.
So what do people do when they don't
Absolutely.
have
It's
money
been
to
a
start?
good streak late
You
in the
know,
round.
you've got first you got to find the right product or service. More, if you don't have any money, most likely it's going to be a service.
This one's going right to the pin here.
You know, like right now, if I was 16 years old or 25 years old and broke sleeping on the floor again, I'd be all about AI, just like I taught myself programming.
So if you had nothing right now, if you just had $1,000 and a laptop, you'd be on the AI track.
If I had access to a library and $0, I would be all about AI. I'd be in there till they kicked me out, eating my ribs, you know?
Still with the ribs.
Yep. Till they kicked me out.
Yeah.
And then I know that I can walk into any small business and say, I know you don't know AI. And I know you're hearing about it. You've messed with ChatGPT some, and you're not really sure. Just like
got to turn on tiger mode. That's a perfect swing. Is tiger mode.
Be more profitable. That's exactly what I would do.
What do you think that the best
Tiger mode bite.
that separates them from everyone else?
They love their product or service so much they just love to sell it. They realize they're not convincing somebody, they realize they're helping somebody. You're gonna look good in this club. Let me show you. You're gonna look good using this software. You're gonna look good, you know, using this AI will make you more productive or profitable. You're gonna be smarter when you're done reading this book, whatever it is, you know. They are so convinced that their product is going to make people's lives better. Why wouldn't they want to sell it and talk to as many people as they can?
I love that. What do you think, Mark, separates, I guess, somebody that has a real viable business idea from somebody that has like a hobby? Like, how do you know when something is like, this is a thing that I can turn into like an actual viable business?
There's two pieces there. If you're so committed, you're dreaming about it. You dreamt about your business, right?
Over and over and over again.
You would wake up and you'd write yourself notes because you didn't want to forget what you dreamed.
All the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Same,
like,
right? To this.
I cannot tell you, all the time.
Exactly. That's it. And then you've got to see if it's a real business, because you might be so, you know, caught up in it. But who knows if anybody
How
else
do you
cares?
know if something is viable?
People are buying it.
That's it. Just people are buying it. That's simple.
They'll, you know, Venmo you. They'll send you money.
That's it.
That's it. How else do you know?
That simple.
Yeah. No, like you started. You sold a few, right?
Yeah.
Then you went to. I started with one customer. Once I got my one customer, then I can have enough money to go get something for the second customer. Damon John talks about selling T-shirts on the corner, and then once you sold, you know, his lot that he had, you use that money. I think people think it's going to happen.
Oh
No,
yeah, everyone
it's a
feels like it's some
slow
overnight
grind. It's a slow grind.
I talk about this all the time in my own business, but certainly on Shark Tank. What is the difference between someone that should just continue to climb the corporate ladder and someone that should go out on their own? Like, do you see that very clearly?
Yeah, I mean, what are you good at? You know, people tend not to quit things they're good at. People tend to get rewarded for things they're good at. And whatever it is that makes you good or got you to be good, just do more of it. Now, you may reach, you know, a level where you can't go higher for any number of different reasons. And then, you know, you can look at going to a competitor, going somewhere else, or starting something on your own. But when you're good at something and you're moving up the ladder and, you know, you're getting results, there's a really good chance that you, or at least you should be rewarded.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's a good reason to stick with it.
I feel like there's just for so many people, they'll be in a corporate job feeling that they're not getting properly rewarded. But that's not the reason to necessarily go and start up on your own.
I mean, you can. That's what weekends are for. That's what nights are for. Should I quit my job? When do I know I should quit my job? You don't until you know you have a company.
Don't.
Yes.
And when do you know you've got a company?
When
the
people
money
are buying
starts.
product,
When the money
it's like,
starts going in.
boom.
But it's as simple as that. So what do you say to people then? They're like, okay, I've got my day job. I've got my side hustle. I'm working on the weekends. I'm seeing some customers. Where is when and where is the time to go, okay, now I've got to apply myself fully?
I mean, when you see your bank account.
Are you making it that simple for everyone?
Yes.
You're like, when you can afford to live.
Do you think differently?
No, I think it's really difficult for people because, you know, sometimes you can get stuck between a rock and a hard place, right? And I think the hardest thing is actually when you've got a business that doesn't take off. When something takes off,
yeah, then it's easy.
You've got total clarity. When you've got something where you're like, well, you know, I only work on this for like 10 hours a week, and if I could apply myself a little bit more, you end up in that, you know.
Usually you know, right? Because, you know, at that point in time, it's typically, all right, I need more inventory, right? Or there's something, whatever it is.
There's like a barrier.
Right, there's a barrier. And then you deal with that barrier, and you may need your job to pay for more inventory. You may need to say, okay, I got to save my money so I have more inventory for my company. Whatever that barrier is, that's what you deal with.
Yeah. That's what you've got to deal with. I mean, I think there's a lot of headlines right now about people, you know, like graduates that are unemployed. And I just wonder what you would say or what your advice would be for new people that are entering the world of business.
Yeah, I mean, you know, go find a job because you just spent 4 years paying to learn, right? When you have a job, it doesn't have to be a perfect job, but you're getting paid to learn. I mean, yeah, you're getting paid to learn after paying to learn, right? You spend all that tuition money. So whatever business you go into, wherever you work, you're going to learn stuff. If you go in with the attitude that, okay, it's just a job, I just, you know, go home. But if you go in thinking, okay, this is a company. This is somebody's operating this company. I may be 10 layers down, but at least I can see what they do and learn some things on how they approach it. And I might think to myself 9 months later, 10 months later, okay, I've learned what I think I can learn here. I don't like it, you know, go get another job.
I think that's really valuable advice. And if I think back to my 20s where I worked a corporate job for years, that's what it taught me. It taught me like, how do you run a business actually quite badly.
And sometimes you learn
at the
what
time,
not
right?
to do. Yeah.
And I really did. It's like, well, that doesn't make sense, and they're giving it away over there, and this,
Yes.
you know. But it was a great kind of training ground for me because I
learned
really
more
understood
what not to do than what to do when
Yeah.
I worked in corporate America.
Yes.
But that's what I think people get caught up in. You know, I'm not fully fulfilled. Well, you're getting paid to learn. You spent your 4 years in college, if that's what you
But that's
did.
the mindset shift, right? It's like you're getting paid to learn. Not like I'm not fulfilled. This is not like, you know, my purpose in life. It's like, it's not supposed to be your purpose. It's a check. And if you can appreciate it, it's like, I'm learning every day
Yes,
here.
because
It's a different thing.
whatever you start, right, you're going to have to go through a learning process.
Yeah.
Using ChatGPT or not, you're going to have to go through a learning process.
Mhm.
And if you can do it on somebody else's dime, and if in the back of your mind, you know, I want to be an entrepreneur, like I did. I was always looking at that stuff because I knew I wanted to have my own company at some point. So every day was a chance for me to learn, you know, even if it got me fired. And, you know, I think now it's not any different. And when I graduated from college, the unemployment...
Do you think it isn't any different?
No.
Really?
No. Like when I graduated from
You
college...
don't think there was just like so much more opportunity years ago? Like
No, hell
Really?
no. Hell no.
Oh, I challenge you on that
Okay,
one. Yeah,
fire
I
away.
mean, so I think that, for example, if you went back 30 years, for me, it seemed like there was just so much less competition. No?
Well, just because it wasn't all online where you can see it, you know.
That's
and,
true.
you know,
That's fair.
but now,
But isn't that so much part of it, Mark? Because like the fear for so many people is what they know, and sometimes what you don't know. Like I feel like my naivety in the beginning of starting a business was my biggest superpower because you don't know what you don't know. So I was like,
you don't know to be afraid of this or that. Yes,
exactly.
for sure. But think about it, you know, going to your question, right? Back then, you needed a whole lot more money to get started.
True.
Right now, if you have a phone and ChatGPT,
Cost of entry is low. Yeah.
nothing.
You
It
can
is
figure out
nothing.
Shopify.
Shopify, right? Amazon, whatever, right? Molds were more expensive. You couldn't just send it to China. Everything was more expensive. You couldn't, to make shit was a lot harder, more expensive. You couldn't just go online, like with, you know, and just learn all this shit. Like when
You were reading manuals.
I would read the fucking manual.
Catalog. And the
I was
bucket of
sitting-
ribs.
I
Yes,
would- yeah,
yes,
and I
yes,
was sitting
yeah.
in bookstores. I would literally go into bookstores, grab this magazine, grab that book, go grab that book, hide in the corner and read all day because I couldn't afford to buy that shit.
Yeah, there was no Blinkist summary on something.
No,
that's for
and there was
sure.
no
Yeah.
shortcuts.
Yeah.
There were no life hacks that like get you there. So now it may be harder because there's more competition, but to get started, there was no businesses back then you could start with no money down unless you were just selling your time. You know, I'm shoveling driveways, going door to door, whatever, right? Now get your Shopify, and if you sell something, then you go to the manufacturer or you go to the distributor and you drop ship it.
There's ways.
There's ways.
There's ways. What's something that you wish every first-time founder knew?
Sales cures all.
Sales cures all.
No sales, no company.
That's it.
No exceptions to
Because
that
people
rule.
get moored with all the other stuff, moored with their model, the marketing, and it's like, you need sales. I talk about this all the time. It's like, focus on distribution, focus on your sales, focus on like owning that story and just being the best salesperson possible
Yes.
because that's all you need at the end of the
Because
day.
if you can sell,
Yeah, you'll figure the rest out.
yes, because
Everything else is not a
everything
problem.
follows through to that sale. If you can't sell, It doesn't matter what you're good at. It doesn't matter anything else for that matter. You're stuck.
Why do you think people avoid that?
Because people don't like to be told no.
Oh.
You know, I tell people all the time, every no gets you closer to a yes. Every no, and I would tell that to myself. I was selling magazines door to door, right? And I'd walk up. Are you telling me that for $5 a week, this wasn't going to improve the education and enjoyment of your family? No.
Bye. On to the next one.
And it's the same, selling Mavs
Switch
tickets.
up your pitch.
You know, when I first got the Mavs, hey, it's less than a McDonald's. No, you guys suck. Boom, on to the next, right? You've just got to be relentless, and most people are afraid of the word no.
Are you afraid to give the word no? Because I feel like getting the feedback is really hard. You just give the feedback, right?
I don't like to say no to people. That's my problem. That's why I don't do hiring in my companies. Because
is that true?
Oh, yeah, because I'm awful at hiring people.
You're just like, I'm on board.
No, I'm
You're
like,
amazing.
I'm a sales guy, right? So like, I think I can make this work.
What is the truth then in entrepreneurship that no one actually tells you?
The truth that
what's the truth?
It's hard. You know, I think you're not automatically going to make money. Most people don't make it. Most people fail. It's hard.
Yeah, that's I think what I've seen, and it's interesting actually as you go into the tank, because even if you think an idea is a great one and you think it has a market, like not everything works out.
No.
And you can give the funding, and it just for I don't know, a myriad of reasons might not
fails.
work.
Yeah,
it fails.
most companies.
Have you
fail.
failed?
Yeah, of course I've failed. You never heard about my powdered milk company?
No.
When I started out of college?
No.
Yeah.
Not a good one?
Not a good one. It was cheaper. It didn't matter if it didn't taste like milk. It was powdered milk.
All right, tell me about the powdered milk company.
No.
Well, I want to know about the failure. I want to know what does it mean to fail and get back up and do it again? Like, what is it in you that allows you to take the failure and it not be about you?
Damon John says it's best. It's the power of broke. If you're broke, what else are you going to do? I mean, I was eating mustard and ketchup sandwiches. I was going to a bar with $5, buying one beer and eating all the fried mushrooms and the peanuts and whatever shit they offer.
Broke is good. Broke is great for a period of your life.
Yes,
Yeah.
right? Because you
It's helpful.
learn. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really true. But what have you learned? Do you feel like the failures that you've had, have they amounted to something that you've been able to see like as a pattern in your life, or is it more just about the individual circumstance? Because I feel like I could look at every failure I've had and I'm like, basically the same thing.
I don't know if it was basically the same thing, other than maybe the shit didn't sell, right?
It's that.
Powdered milk?
Yeah,
Oh,
it
no.
didn't sell.
It did not sell. I remember taking samples to people, mixing it up like, look, milk's expensive. We're broke, right? Just save you money.
Here's
Mix
some
it
grainy
up,
shit.
try it. And just see the look on their face.
Nothing you can do about that.
Point taken.
You're like,
And then
I
you
got
try-
it.
But it's just you. Your taste in milk is different, right?
All right, so how long, because this I kind
About
of
a
love.
month.
A month?
Yeah, about a month.
Yeah, but isn't that the thing? At least you didn't try to do that for a year. Because some people just don't know how to step
But there were no
away.
sales. It was going nowhere, you know?
I know, but people don't always hear that.
Yeah.
Don't you think? Like, you must deal with a lot of early stage founders that just don't read the signs. They don't see it. And I think it's really important to talk a bit about failure and to talk about when it's time to pack it in.
That, I never really thought of it that way, but you're right. You have to have a lot of self-awareness to be an entrepreneur. You have to know what you don't know, unless, it's early. But once you get going in particular, you have to know what you suck at. And you need to know.
Oh, dang, I'm about to
how
unlock
get
that right
people
now.
to complement your skills. I think a lot of times entrepreneurs think, I can do it all, which at the beginning you pretty much have to. But as you grow and you're trying to scale your business, if you have any success at all, you need to know what you're not good at, and you need to find people who complement your skills. And I think one of the mistakes entrepreneurs make sometimes is they won't bring in people with expertise that they don't have to be their startup partners. I'm not going to give up some of my company. The thing that cracks me up, I can't tell you my idea, you might steal it. It's just
I'm like, trust me, I won't. I promise you.
I'm like, fine, then don't tell me. Next.
Yeah, on to the next one. But it's a great question, actually, like just to understand the mistake that so many first-time founders make. And I feel like if I look back at my history, I'm an overly optimistic person, and I feel like I can will anything to
I'm
like
the same way.
anything.
I can make it
right?
work,
And sometimes I'm like, Emma, you can't will that powdered milk. Like that's
No,
just
I can sell anything,
yeah,
right? I can
honestly,
sell
and sometimes that will get in your way, but I've learned that about myself.
And you learn, right? But it's okay to bang your head against the wall like that. You learn.
Yeah, so
Because
long as you learn.
Look, I say this all the time. I doesn't matter how many times you fail. You only have to do it one time. Just one time.
What are you spending most of your time on now? When you know, because it's like you're in a whole new stage of your life where you've made decisions that are all about what you want to do and how you want to spend your time. And I'm curious as to your routine, what you do in a day, what you need to get out of a day.
Beg my children to spend time with me,
You're
basically.
like, please, you want to hang out? Please, I'll fly you to the game.
Whatever, right? Seriously.
Yeah.
It's like, can we go to lunch? You know, let's go to the...
It's so, if your kids only knew how many people wanted to go to lunch with you.
Oh, of course, right? No, they
we should
do,
tell
right?
them, kids, figure it out.
Well, and
Everyone
part of
wants
the
to go to
downside
lunch
is
with
they
your
know
dad.
if we go out, then I got to deal with people. Right?
That's true.
You know,
Yes.
and so I feel bad for them on that end of it. It's like I always have the conversation. You know, if your friends get drunk and screw up, nobody cares. If you're my kid, it's going to be on the front page.
Sorry, kids.
Yeah, that's the responsibility you bear. And sometimes they don't want to go out. They'll go, I'll go with mom, but I don't want to deal with the dad. And, you know, that's kind of heartbreaking.
Yes, I can imagine that really is heartbreaking, actually. It's really difficult for them, but that's really what you're optimizing for, to spend time with your kids.
Yeah, and like I said, in the AI stuff, I mean, I really get into it, obviously, and it's like, you know, knowledge truly is power. And knowing how to use these tools is everything.
It is going to be everything. When someone asks you what you do now, what do you even say?
I do a lot of emails from all the different companies. and we haven't talked about costplusdrugs.com yet, right? That's a big.
Oh, well, I really wanted to ask you about costplusdrugs.com. I mean, are you okay? So this was my thing, Mark, because I know you're a very political person.
I get
and
to
I
do
saw,
the 99, bro. Come on.
Like, I saw you out. I thought, first of all, I do not understand why you're not the president of this country. I know everybody asks you, but are you 100% sure you're not going to
I
run?
wouldn't put my kids through it. I wouldn't put
Really,
my
you're
family
not going to run for president just for us
Just
that
for
need
you?
you, just for
Maybe you asked me
me,
really nicely. No.
just for my whole family that are like,
Right?
you know, don't you
I
want?
know I get asked every day.
Is it every day that much?
Lots of times a day.
Okay, fine. Then I won't bug you back. But you've really considered it hard.
Yeah, for a while I did. Yeah, it's just.
Not for you.
Yeah, my whole life I never got into
Because you know,
politics.
do you have the feeling that if you run, you would win?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
I know that may sound arrogant.
It's not arrogant. I think it's a fact. It's like I could guarantee I would bet on you and Michelle Obama. Boom, as the
Yeah,
president.
Michelle better suited than
I mean, I don't think she necessarily wants to do that. We won't speak on her behalf.
Right,
but
right.
I think if either of you wanted it, you'd have it.
I mean, the running part would be fun, you know, but just the shit my family would go through.
Fair.
Yeah, if I was single, yeah, I would do it. You know, if my kids were 40 years old, I would do it.
Different. Well, there's still time. Your kids will be 41 at this
Dang,
time.
that's a lot of
Just
balls.
saying. Just saying. All right, back to cost plus drugs, because I saw that President Trump had made this announcement about leveling the cost of, you know, prescription drugs, right? And so it immediately made me think of you.
Yeah.
Is that problematic for your business?
No, it's great.
It is?
It is great. Yeah, so let's say what cost plus drugs does.
Please, tell me.
So everybody likes their doctors and all that stuff, but nobody likes the financial side of healthcare.
No.
It's a mess, right? You have to deal with benefits and all that stuff, and there's no upside.
Well, as an English person, we still don't
It's gonna
understand.
take 3 of them.
Well, yeah,
We get eye drops
and
for £4,
yeah, it's
$4,
not like NHS
you know.
that
No.
gives you everything.
I will never understand what it costs in America to get like something that for my entire life I've taken totally for granted.
Well, it may be cheaper over here now.
Here's
through
hoping.
cost plus drugs.
I'll agree with this.
So anyways, nobody likes the financial side because you don't know what anything costs. There's no transparency. So we created costplusdrugs.com. And so you go to Cost Plus, you put in the name of the medication. We don't carry them all yet. We've got like 2,500 different SKUs. And if we carry it, up it pops up, right? Like your eye drops. And then we'll show you our actual cost. And then we'll show you our markup, which is 15%. And you have your choice of mail order. If it's mail order, it's $5 for the pharmacist, $5 for shipping and handling. Shows up in a couple days, or you can go to a local pharmacy. That's it, right? But by being transparent, we change the game. By only having a 15% markup, people trust us. Like I read this thing one time, and I firmly stick by it now. Trust equals transparency, divided by self-interest. Right?
Wow, that's
like how much are
really
you doing for
powerful
yourself
statement.
or how much are you doing for your customers, basically, right? And so our markups
Say that one more time for me, Mark. That's so good.
Trust equals, it's a formula. Trust equals transparency. How transparent are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Cost plus drugs is a 10, right? And then self-interest. How much do you put yourself ahead of your customers or how much do you put your customers first?
That's really powerful.
Right. Our markup is only 15%.
Okay, I
People
got
are like, that's fair. Right? So you get to see the total cost right there. And we publish our full price list. And so by doing that, we've just exploded. And we've changed people's lives. And you know, on my professional side, I mean, there's nothing more rewarding. I get emails all the time.
I can't imagine.
You know, I was going to spend $900 on this medication for my cancer, and I couldn't afford it. I go to Cost Plus Drugs, and it's $21. I mean, or you save me $15,000 a month, right? It's insane. And so, you know, Cost Plus Drugs comes along, and we've just been around for 3 years. So now let's tie it back to what the administration's doing. They want the cost of medications to be the same as they are overseas. Well, on generics, which is most of our SKUs, we're already cheap. Like most of the generics that you would have to buy in the UK, we're cheap. Go to Canada, we're cheap, just because the way generics are structured. But for brand name drugs, it's a mess.
Right.
And so there's these things called pharmacy benefit managers that are the middlemen who are keeping the big pharma manufacturers from working with us. Because they know if we introduce transparency, it'll screw up the game for them.
It's over.
So now with this stuff from the administration and wanting to match those prices, now the manufacturers of those brands, they think they can get out from under the thumb of these middlemen, the pharmacy benefit managers, and work directly with us. And I think it'll happen. It looks like it'll happen. So if that happens, a lot of these brand medication prices,
they're going to tumble.
They're going to.
I mean, it's a win-win for consumers,
for
basically.
Sure. For sure.
And why did you choose this category for a new business? Because it's kind of outside of everything that you've done in technology and.
Yeah, because I mean, I saw an opportunity to disrupt something that's really fucked up.
It's really fucked up.
Yeah. And so we're trying to simplify it through transparency. Like for my employees, there's no copays. For my employees, if you do your stuff through our network, right? If you do your stuff, if you buy your drugs through Cost Plus Drugs, there's no copay. We pay for all of it. And now we're setting up this direct contracting with hospitals and doctors and everything. And I can get all that stuff to you guys so that there's no out of pocket for our employees for anything that we cover. There's no pre-authorizations at all, right? Because we're willing to work directly with the hospitals and cut out the middlemen, we pay them a lot less. We just pay them up front.
It's seriously impressive. And it's pretty noble, actually, to be doing this at this stage of
and
your
I'm
career.
not doing it to make money, right? I don't need the money. But the whole idea of fucking up healthcare,
I mean,
that's
exciting.
Fun. Yeah, that's fun, right?
I love that you always come back to fun. That's going to be my big takeout from you, actually, because it's all about you having fun in
it
whatever
makes you
you're
feel
doing.
good, right? Like when you see somebody wearing your stuff.
Oh, nothing makes me happier. Also, nothing makes my husband happy because what happens to us in restaurants is that people come up and they flash us. You know, they go, Skims! And, you know, he kind of puts his head down and pretends he's looking at his dinner. I'm like, this is working out really well for you.
Right?
That's basically my life right now. People just flashing me their bras.
Perfect.
And I wonder if you have any regrets at all because you've done so many things, so many impressive things. Is there something that you missed or something that...
Yeah, there's lots of stuff that I missed,
But you don't dwell?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really dwell on it. I try to learn from it, just not repeat it. I wasn't nice enough when I was first getting started, you know? I literally had one of my partners say, people are afraid of you. You know, I didn't listen all the time, you know, because I was focused on doing what I was focused on, you know? And so I missed things and, you know, that negatively impacted people who worked for me. So there's a lot of mistakes that I've made and that's just inevitable, you know? And I wish I could have done it differently. And if I had to do it all over again, I would do it differently. But it's done, and I'll try to learn from it.
But you really have learned from it because and I mean this in all seriousness, you are one of the nicest people I know.
You just
one of
don't.
the most.
You know me well, but you just don't see me when I'm like, "Fuck you! Don't do that."
I hope I never see you like that.
No, I don't do that. Those days are gone. But I used to.
But it must be something that you've really decided. Like, I'm going to be a nice guy because that
It's
really
just not
is
worth
who
it.
you
People,
are now.
People would rather work with you if you're nice.
Of course. I mean, I've always taken the opposite point of view because I feel like you get more with honey. Like, you're just gonna be nice, and like, people are gonna do more for you. They're gonna be nicer to you.
No
It's
one
just
likes
the way
to
that
deal
it
with
works.
people that piss them off or
Nobody
they hate.
likes an arsehole. And I'm really interested because you talk about your kids so much, and I wonder what you're teaching them.
That's a good question. Sometimes it feels like nothing. They're good kids. I mean, I've got to say, my kids are really good. My oldest is a junior in college. My middle's graduating just graduating from high school last week, and my son, my youngest, is going to be a sophomore in high school. And so they know everything, obviously.
Yes, they do.
And I'm trying to just be there as much as I can, participate as much as I can, as much as they'll let me. So I don't mind chauffeuring my son wherever he needs to go or driving. If any of my kids wants to do something, unless I just humanly can't, the answer is yes. And so, that to me, other than cost plus, learning and doing what I do professionally, but family-wise, just trying to, spend as much time with my kids and family.
I am, because I spent such a long time sitting next to you and trying to extrapolate bits of information. I feel it'd be remiss not for me to try something today. And so I feel like I'm in a bit of a chapter change. I've always looked at my life, it's like I have my consultant life, I have my business, starting businesses life, and now I'm in a bit of a different chapter. And I wonder what you would say to somebody like me, given everything that you've learned.
Well, what chapter are you in?
Well, it's an interesting one, because I feel like, I love what I do. I really, really do. I love these businesses, but I'm definitely at a stage where working kind of 16-hour days and filling every 40-minute, section of
And
my
make
day.
sure it's all right. Yeah.
It's really difficult. And I'm in the time of my life, I have a 11-year-old and an 8-year-old and twin 3-year-olds. And so I'm looking for very purposefully for a different type of rhythm to my day. Certainly not to say I'm going into retirement. Because
No, I get that, right? No, I know exactly what you're saying.
Business into me, but a different rhythm, like more opportunity to indulge in the things that I love, and also share the things that I
Well, I know
love.
the answer. You got to learn how to trust. You've heard this before. Right? Because when you're really, really good at something, and it takes more time to convey it to somebody, wait for their answer, and explain what you want, let's just get it done, right? Because we got other shit to do. And so, like I said, I suck at hiring. And so I had to get help with having somebody that I trusted to hire the people that I really needed. Even if it meant, turning over that person multiple times. Because you've got to find your minions and be able to trust them.
It's so hard.
It is really hard.
It's so hard.
Especially when it's a go business. But that's what you have to do. Because otherwise you're doomed to 16 hours a day forever.
Yeah, and it doesn't stop.
And it doesn't need to be a magic bullet. And what I've always tried to do, and like I said, I don't really hire, but I'm good at promoting people, right? And starting with somebody, getting to know them, and trying to, get them into new skills that they can grow with them. And so that, who is the one person that caught your attention in one of those hours in that 16-hour day that can deal with that issue that you can train or support, or they can just tag along with you until they get there and you trust them. And then you've got to be honest with them. Here's why I'm doing it. It may or may not work. And if it doesn't mean I'm going to fire you, but you may be disappointed that you're not that person the way I need that person to be.
Yeah.
No knock on you. This is just a very specific role that I need. That's what you've got to do, because it's hard in your situation where you've gotten like this, and now you got to fight.
You got to fight. Every day's a fight.
Because whenever you see this for even a day,
no,
or
you
week,
can't. You're like, then you have to go fully back in.
Right, and it's just like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, and it's
right?
exhausting.
And it is exhausting because you have people who gave you money, and now you're responsible to them, and they're trying to get their ROI, and they want to know why this isn't happening, and you've got your budgets, and it's driving you crazy that you've got a budget that somebody else also wants to know instead of just you knowing it.
I feel like you've been here before, Mark.
Right, and it's just like, but you took that money,
It's
right?
true, you took that money, you got to make it,
money
you
that
got to have a result. That's
yeah.
just it. But it's a great lesson for an entrepreneur and for founders, because if you don't trust people, you can't grow. Like, there's no one
but it
that
depends
does
where you
it
are in
alone.
your life cycle, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's got.
It's all about where you are.
Right, because
I'm
individually
the
you have a life cycle, literally like what
If
you can
worms
tolerate,
taste
and what
like
you've done, and
bacon,
what you've
I wonder
accomplished,
what worms will
and
think
the
you taste
risk
like.
reward for your time. Because your time value goes like this as you get older, and the money, if
Next
you made
time,
enough money,
don't poke your
it
head
starts
out of the
to,
burrow.
unless you're a person that just needs more and more and more, and I don't get that sense, right? So now it's about your time, but it's also about the obligation. Because I always say raising money isn't an accomplishment, it's an obligation.
It's an obligation.
And so,
Ain't that true?
right? And so now you have this obligation. And so the good news about it in having it is that, and like you said, industry is going phases, and you still have to find those people who help you adapt to the next phase. What's next? For Gen Z, and the 15-year-olds are going to be different than the 25-year-olds. And so trying to find those people, that's That's the challenge, and that becomes that. I'm trying to give you my break, but that's the part you got to figure out how do you hire those people to put you in that position, and what's the learning process to get there to be able to do it? Because if you don't do it, you already know what happens.
You do. You stop.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because I feel like one of the things that I spend the most time on is hiring. Because it's when you get a person that comes into your business and you can truly trust them, it's like an unlock, right? And hopefully they're teaching you. When you get people that are really seasoned, real specialists,
then it's the worst thing ever.
the worst.
Because it's a reflection on you that you get it wrong, and then everybody
Did you
else
pick up that
gets it wrong.
sniper mag that you
It
pinged?
doesn't matter. I make mistakes all the time. Every year there's a handful of people that I'm like, this is just not going to work. And they were good somewhere else, and they have the experience, and on paper they were amazing, and they were fully vetted, and but it doesn't work out. For whatever reason, it doesn't work out. That's when I talk about you got to kill your darlings. Like just don't get it done.
Oh yeah, you always I shall fire fast.
And it just.
10 seconds, I ring
I wonder what is left in your life.
Don't let the ringers fool you.
I love that. You feel like you're just getting started.
I get these requests. We want to give you a lifetime achievement award. In fact, we want to give you an honor for this. I'm like, fuck no. I don't get like, no, I'm not taking awards. I got to take 2 awards. And I always say no to the rest. I just don't do awards because I'm just getting started.
What is it that tells you you're just getting started? You're so accomplished. What could be left for you to? What's the ambition?
Disrupting industries is fun. Fixing healthcare is going to be amazing. I got a lot of work to do there. We have a path on pharmacy, and I think I have a path on fixing the healthcare side of it too.
Right, happening. Sign me up.
Yeah, and you connect me with your HR.
I'll be a guinea pig. I'm ready for it. Let's absolutely go.
The eat your own doctor.
We really
doing that though, right?
But that's where your ambition lies in, like really changing, disrupting inventories in industries.
Yeah.
But having fun is important.
I mean, it's rewarding. I'm competitive every.
Yep, here I come.
Yeah, well, that's the pattern in everything that you've done, right? You found that you've been really bad, and you've just gone.
Yo, grab that Evo if you're right by it.
I read last week, or maybe before they started being sports on town. What is your plan there?
So Harbinger is with the
That's a crazy push.
I'm like, sure.
Crawl back this way, I'll res.
What's that?
I mean, we've had this conversation.
And all of LA is just like,
why did you do that?
I didn't know. That was supposed to be part of it. But, I did a lot of money.
Thank you. We're happy to have him. That's all I can say. Go back to the sports one for me.
Don't die.
But no, so
Don't
what
die.
we do is,
Yo, come over here to the respawn beacon. Let's raise our teammate.
And so we just want to create a marketplace
They're chasing me.
for anybody in a major sports franchise who maybe families
On me.
they own 1% or 5%. So it's more minority ownership.
Interesting.
Yeah, take Doc.
That's it. You said
No, not a lot. I just
Ooh, he tried to headshot me just now.
Do you ever think that there'll be a day when you're like, I'm going to have
Will you ever stop thinking about all this stuff? Do you ever stop seeing something?
Yo, go to a crafter. Just go to a crafter. Just run to a crafter.
Well, it's just about allocating your time, right? So it's not like going to an office and spend 14 hours worrying about the furniture or whatever, right? It's just like, I do almost everything via email, some Zooms, right? So I'm meeting with pharmacy companies over Zoom and whoever. And I mean, literally, there's not a minute of it that I'm like, it sounds great. It is fun for me to learn all this pharmacy shit. And people are like, wait, you're the Shark Tank guy. You're not supposed
I got all the Hydro.
put in the time.
That's probably the best one, Hydro down.
All this and learn all this stuff for our manufacturing so that we can be the lowest cost provider, which is everyone else in the world. That stuff is fun. Once you
That one, yeah.
find something that you love to do and it's fun, just keep on doing it. Or find a new application. So I don't see a reason to stop any of the stuff that I like to do.
Why would you?
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I'm happy to speak to you because I just think that you are one of the most inspiring, honest people. And from the day that I first met you, I was like, this Mark guy is like all that he cracked up to be. You're the least disappointing person in the world. I say that.
Okay. That's how the scale that'd be
it's a
okay.
great compliment because everybody you ever meet, you know, you build them up in your head and
Trust
you're
me,
like,
if you
what's the
knew everything,
point in?
yeah, trust me, if you knew everything.
Well, don't tell me. I'm here now.
No, but like we all do, right? We all do dumb shit. And
We all do dumb shit.
Yeah.
No, but you know, it's really interesting, Mark, because I think that success does funny things to people, and it's amazing when you can be as open and as giving and still have these like really big aspirations for things, to have your fun, but to make things better. I think it's really impressive.
Do this.
It's the best. It's the best in the world.
Ever.
It's the best
The
ever.
least disappointing podcast I've ever done.
Thanks, pal.
I'll take it. I'll just take it. I've only got rapid fire. All right. The first thing you do when you wake up, and the last thing you do when you go to bed.
Take a shit.
Someone wandered into our safe space. Yo, crack
You're the only person who is ever going to say, I'm going to run a compilation of these.
I can tell what I normally say, but that would be no.
Manifesting, meditating.
I like check my emails for
Whatever.
problems.
No, take a shit. Literally. That question last, because now we can't recover. This is what I mean. Like, you're the best. Who would
I
say
need to
that?
hit all
This is what
those,
we need,
boy.
a president that just like, Mr. President, what did you do?
Lactose intolerant, gotta go.
Amazing. Okay, that is amazing. What are you currently aspiring for in your business life and in your personal life?
Personal life, just more time with my kids.
Mhm.
You know, just with them wanting me, instead of me dragging it. And professional, just fucking up the healthcare industry and really changing it in this country.
What's a book that changed your life?
Probably several of the Ayn Rand books, like The Fountainhead was big. A couple of her books, yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I don't know any of that.
Yeah, like Howard Rourke was like my role model. He was like a guy in her books that just didn't care what other people thought, just was on learning and trying to be the best he could be in his mind. And so that they kind of model, like a lot of people think, well, that's, you know, too laissez-faire, too libertarian, but that part didn't matter. It was just like, this is a guy who's just like all about not caring and just going for it.
Love that. Keep on. What is something you value in starting out your journey?
Nonsense, you know. I remember after I sold my first company, I was thinking myself, you know, dumb shit that guys
You mean you
do.
don't walk into bars thinking that anymore?
Oh, no.
Oh, all right, something that you value now that you didn't back in the days.
Kindness, empathy. Yeah, I wasn't real empathetic at all.
I'm John Master. Follow my lead.
It was just like, go, 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 go. If you're in my way, get the fuck out of my way. That was it. Now, you know, then I would literally hit them. But now, it was just like, okay, I'm sorry. Let me see if I
Down
can
and
help you.
locked. Let's land
This
over
isn't fit, that isn't a fit. But, you know, if I can answer any questions or do anything for you,
Thank you, Mark. You're the best.
that was very nice. I really enjoyed it. That was really, really good.
Thanks for joining me on the Aspire podcast. For more strategies on how to build the life of your dreams, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
First blood. This weapon is enhanced.
Attention, Evo harvesters are online.
Does this enhanced weapon make me look scarier? I bet it does.
Enemy far off.
In progress.
Sweet. We're already inside the next ring.
I now have an enhanced weapon.
Level 2. This weapon is enhanced. Beautiful. Dangerous.
I got an enhanced weapon and a smile on my face.
Man, I need a backpack.
Deploying an evac tower.
Care package coming down.
Might be something good there.
We should maneuver that area. Tally on bandit out there.
Got a bad guy. Hurt over here. Frag out. No bamboozle. Let's go here. Stoop the clock. Firing. Reloading. Bad news, I'm down.
Bro, why would you? Why would you go down there like that?
Not so fast.
Man, we gonna have to craft you. I can't even get you up. Yo, go to a crafter over there. Go to the crafter over there.
Mark my next location.
Over here.
This aircraft has several emergency exits, accompanied by
A second squad. Adjust your strat. I've been downed. Unacceptable.
I'm gonna craft you right here.
replicator there, with supplies left too.
Can't stand when people play like that. Like, you just run down one on. There's two teams down there. You jump down there by yourself and then quit.
Crafting over here.
Oh, let him finish you. Let him finish you so I can. I'm at the crafter right now.
Not that I hate trouble, but I should recharge.
I'm at the crafter right now. Let him finish you.
Wings up. Got ourselves a respawn beacon here.
Yo, I'm at the crafter right now, bro.
Whole new weapon. If we take off without an upgrade, wings out. Should probably recharge my shields. No-go gauge is going nuts. Charging up my shields. Weapons enhanced. Now let's leave a mark on the world.
Move this way.
Half the squads are toast, and let's get our teammates' banner. Got the banner. Let's bring them home. upgrade waiting in the wings.
Round 2. Beginning ring countdown.
Charging on my shields.
Attention. Delivering replicator.
Replicator on its way down.
I took a moment to sharpen my blade.
Ultimate's ready. Say the word and we'll be in the clouds.
A care package has touched down over there.
Better get an upgrade locked in.
We're close to the ring. We have 1 minute.
Fangs out. I got an upgrade. I could flame out if I don't get some healing in me. 1 sec. Healing up.
The ring is near. 45 seconds remain. Before the ring closes, use it well.
Shotgun bolt here. Level 3. Evo harvester here.
10 seconds until the ring closes. Move.
Wings out.
I really should hit this beacon over here, but
A new kill leader. We have our target. We'll be caught outside the ring if we don't move.
Attention. Delivering care package.
Standing by for care package. An excellent selection.
Sniper stock here. Level 3.
I can make use of that.
Kill leader appointed.
New kill leader. Surely you can take the title from them.
Beginning ring countdown. Loot bin
Radar
restocking
shows we're not all in the
complete.
ring. Gotta hop up here. Skull piercer.
Replicator being delivered.
Replicator incoming.
yo, come with me over here to that beacon up there. I'm gonna hit it and see what's going on.
An excellent selection.
We should defend here, if you like winning. Extended sniper mag here. Gold tier.
Dibs. Phase dare ready. Adequate.
Survey beacon out there.
Warning. Ring movement in progress.
We're inside the next
Attention.
ring.
Delivering care
Superior
package.
positioning.
Incoming care package. Pro tip, Don't try grabbing something moving at that trajectory.
Target acquired.
Beginning ring countdown.
A care package has touched down over there. Target acquired. There.
Delivering replicator.
Replicator incoming. Uh-huh. Care package over there. Ring's close and we've still got a minute.
Seconds and a nearby ring. We strategized effectively. That location interests me.
Helmet here. Level 4.
Dibs.
Down to 30 seconds. Ring's just a little further.
A care package has touched down over there.
Let's scope this quadrant out here. Wings up. Getting close to contact on the enemy's positions. It's on your map. Opening fire. Charging on my shields. Hey, ring's closing and we're all in the danger zone. Hello, 5. Battery out. Mayday. Crash.
One hit right here. One hit right here. One hit. One hit right there. Oh, he got away. He's gonna have to heal up hard. You can pick me up. Dang.
You just learned the meaning of pop guy.
Shields are depleted. Recharging.
Beginning ring countdown.
The care package has touched down over there.
1 minute and the ring is close. Perfect. "45 seconds until close. I have the banner. We must correct their failure. Heal, heal, heal. I have 30 seconds. Plenty. Shields are depleted. Recharging.